Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Morning Nonsense. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Hope you're all being safe. As always, chat. I always want you to be having a wonderful day, and I always want you to be safe. It's fantastic. We're having a fantastic time. Hoping you're having at least an adequate to fantastic time on your scale of 1 to awesome. But today, so much more nonsense, chat. So much more nonsense. It just keeps piling on. And in this vein of nonsense, I'm going to have to suggest that you all pour one out for the Star Wars fans. oh, these poor Star Wars fans, chat. These poor Star Wars fans. Uh, they've endured years and years and I think decades of disappointment. And when it comes to the franchise, yes, of course there have been excellent things that have come out of the Star Wars franchise, but unfortunately, ever since the original trilogy, nothing has really lived up to the original hype, except for maybe a few things like video games, and of course there's some series and and some books maybe if you but when it came to the big things everyone notices, the movies and things. It's always been disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. Even though the prequels are now, we can see how valuable they are now, thanks to the sequels. They still had problems, and then people were still overwhelmingly disappointed by them. But now they have now Disney has the reins of the Star Wars franchise, and it's only gotten worse. Yeah, we have the Mandalorian. Unfortunately, they didn't learn the lesson. They didn't learn the lesson. There's a new Star Wars series on the way on Disney Plus. Okay, there's a new Star Wars series in development on Disney Plus, and unfortunately, it's not looking too good. I don't know what the series is, but it's not looking too good. Whatever it is, and I'll show you why. I'll show you why. So check this out, chat. I have a couple things to go over on this particular subject, and I think you might find it interesting. It is nonsense. It is nonsense. So let's go ahead and get started with this. Here we go. Let's share the screen real quick. Get this all ready to go. Let's see here. Let's see here. Got this all ready to go. And looking good. Let's see here. Angel the Sword, don't bother me until I have more nonsense. Exactly. Exactly. Welcome, Angel the Sword. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're all having a fantastic time. Just, I mean, you might not be having a fantastic time after you hear this, but there's a few things to go over. A few things to go over. Hex Harper, morning, LD. Morning to you, Hex Harper. Morning to you, chat. Morning, good morning, good morning. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let's check it out, chat. So this a little crew of people here. The one with the microphone is the new head writer. Okay, the new head writer, the person who just got the reins to a Star Wars series that will be exclusive to Disney Plus. And this is a interview from I think last fall. I think last fall. Currently, she is the head showrunner for a quote unquote hit or smash TV series on Netflix called Russian Doll. I've never heard of it. I've never seen it. Nobody I know has heard of it or seen it, but apparently it's a hit. You see Carl Martin. Morning, Eldine is demon fans. Yes, hello. Good morning, Carl Martin. Good morning, fellow demons. Or good morning, demons. Yes. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Okay, so yes, this is her name is I think Leslie Headland, and she is the one who has been heading up who's going to be heading up the new Star Wars series on Disney Plus. So we got everything headed up. So here we go. Got a few things on this situation, on this matter, and let's see how this goes. Let's see if you can guess how things will go in this new series by this little clip here. This little clip here. And if you cannot withstand I was not able to withstand the entire interview. It's only 2 minutes and 19 seconds. I could not withstand the entire video. I kind of cut it off at the 1 minute mark. It's kind of overwhelming, but let's check it out, chat. Let's check it out. Dr. Crow, I remember when you when you would have no girls allowed rules as a 10-year-old kid. This is why. Who knew cooties could turn into blatant racism? Who knew, chat? Who knew? Who knew? This is what happens. This is what happens, chat. What happens when we let girls inside the clubhouse? They ruin everything. That's why we had that rule to begin with. Anyway, let's go ahead and see what this Leslie headland has in store for us.
To say that, like, I think white women need to kind of step up their game, to be quite
4 seconds, chat. 4 seconds in. Immediately. I think that white women need to step up their game.
honest. Like, sorry, but I'm calling you bitches out. Like,
Oh, take that, Dad. Take that, Dad. I just cursed on national TV. Take that, Dad. I hope you're rolling in your grave. They're all the same. They're all the same, chat. They're all the same. They're all the same. I don't know what it is. They all curse like their dad is listening, and they're really fantasizing about their dad getting angry that they just finished cursing on national TV or something. I take that, Dad. I just cursed. Take that. Can't stop me anymore, Dad. I'm a grown woman with my own franchise to ruin. I got my hands on the franchise you love, Dad. I'm gonna ruin it. I'm gonna drive into the ground. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make sure you're watching as I drive into the ground and while I'm cussing on national TV. I want your tears, Dad. I want your tears. I want you to be crying into my hands, Dad. That's what it always sounds like. Every single time it sounds like this. But don't worry, chat. It gets better, or should I say, it gets worse. I guess from it all depends on your certain point of view.
like, you really do, because, like, there's like we can. I couldn't agree more with everything that these brilliant women are saying, but like I'm also seeing the silent killer, which is a lot of white women at the top who are kind of reinforcing a lot of old ideas.
There you go. White women. It used to be white women were just lumped in with everyone else on top of the oppression pyramid. But however, I guess things have changed, and white women apparently are no longer part of the oppression pyramid. Okay, you're bad guys now. You're bad guys now. I see Baptist 702. SJWs like these Karens have to eat themselves alive in order to understand how twisted their beliefs are on a DU. Yeah, they do. They do. And she wants to call out white women. She looks pretty white to me, chat. I don't know what's going. How come they always call out white people, and the people who are always calling out white people, are always white people? I don't know what it is. It's kind of strange. Hey, Angel the Sword. Sometimes I become worried about being different from other people. People like this extinguish that worry. Yeah, yeah. You don't want to be like this person, chat. You want to be so obsessed with identity politics that you forget how merit works. That's why these people like to love identity politics, by the way, because they can't compete in a meritocracy. So it becomes instead of hiring someone with talent, they emphasize something else, not talent. It used to be an emphasis on talent, but they don't have any, and they still want to get hired. So they went with identity politics. So which forces people to hire you based on your skin color or something, and not on merit. You don't actually have to have any talent, chat. So this is why it works for them so well.
Because they're I think a lot of it, to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'll just speak from my own personal experience. It's just like I wasn't sure how to be an ally. I wasn't sure what type. I got so caught up in like what kind of terminology I was supposed to be using and being politically correct, and so as I started to
She's so concerned about being politically correct. She's so concerned about being an ally. She's so concerned about using the right terminology.
rise in television, I started to just get more blunt and just start saying, like, I would like a black writer. Because if I said diverse,
No, don't
you know,
say that.
Like it took her a moment to register that. She even nodded. Let me go back, chat. Check this out. It's funny. That's how deranged people are. Check this out, chat. Keep an eye on this lady right here.
in television, I started to just get more blunt and just start saying, like, I would like a black writer.
He goes, mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds good. Wait a minute.
Because if I said diverse,
No, don't
you
say
know,
that.
Yeah, sounds good. Oh, wait a minute. No, don't say that. Obelisk Titans, thank you very much for the 799. Appreciate that. Hello. I be thinking about the idea inspired by Joker and Harley. Dead man get a gift immortal. Execution can too. revenge society, or proof innocent. Yeah, so she can. Yeah, I remember that from yesterday, from yesterday's episode. Uh, so yeah, the Harley Quinn, the Joker idea with the post-apocalypse, or that little scenario where she dies inside of the jail cell. I guess you could change it to she can. I mean, I guess Joker learns how to be immortal or something, and she dies trying to get out of it, trying to get out of jail to get back to him, and then he can either take revenge on society or prove that he's innocent. Interesting, yeah. That's a really interesting. You can go either way, I think. Let's see here. Yeah. So did you see that? And he goes, no, don't say that. Because at first it was like, okay, we're gonna. She said, I'm a black writer, and then she goes, yeah, sounds good. Guess what you're supposed to say? You're supposed to ask for writers by skin tone and stuff. And she goes, wait a minute, you just said the word black. You can't say that. You have to say the word diverse. You can't say. You can't just blatantly tell everybody that you're racist. You have to use kind and smooth language.
You get well, white is diverse, which is something somebody said to me, and I was like, wow. I was like, it's not cool, but
And they're always very passive aggressive. But white is diverse. And guess what it's called? It's diversity. Diversity means that you have a diverse selection. So if you have a bunch of if you have maybe like a room full of minorities, as they would call you, if you have like maybe three black people and maybe one Asian guy and a few Hispanics in there, a white person would be a variety in there. Would make it diverse. Would make it more diverse in any way. If you send a writer from America to a I don't know, an anime panel or something, and it's a bunch of Japanese creators, a white person would make it more diverse. White people are diversity if it's done in the right context. Okay, it's because they're white doesn't mean they're not diverse. Like, no, but cool. Yeah, there's always trying to condescend you. They're always talking down to you. They always think themselves as morally superior than you are.
um, but to really, I reached out to my, the women that I respect who are not white writers and directors, and I said, what should I say? What language should I use? And I think it's worth it if you're in a position of
If they didn't say "who cares," then they might be in the same position as you are, putting identity politics before talent. The correct answer is "I don't care." Like like Tommy Lee Jones in The Fugitive. I don't care. I should get that. Maybe I should get that clip.
hiring power or green lighting power to like reach out to people that are not like you and say, what can I do to be an ally, and how can I support writers of color and
This is the person heading up your new Star Wars series, chat. This is the person heading up your new Star Wars series. Not talking about writing. Talking about their influences or their inspirations on how to write or what their ideas come from, where they come from in the writing. No, it's all about identity politics and how they're going to try to adhere to diversity and all that usual dribble. And say the author. Thank you very much for the two. Appreciate that. These guys sold intellect for fame. Yeah, yeah, and I think that the idea is they sold the illusion of intellect for fame. It's so they still can sound smart by using big words, big words. But they sold their dignity. They sold their dignity as writers for fame. They sold their freedom as writers for fame. They bought into tyranny. They bought into social tyranny, otherwise known as social justice, for fame and notoriety. So they have betrayed their profession as artists for the names in headlines and favorable reviews in the media. They are artists, but they are collaborators. They have stabbed the fellow artists in the back, and they have turned their backs on their duties as artists, so they can have favorable articles about them in the media and be celebrated easily without having to actually do any work. She's already being celebrated, chat. She's already being celebrated as being successful, even though she hasn't come out with her series yet. Darth Milk, I legit know people from Africa who are white, and my skin Northern European slash German is darker than theirs. Yeah, you can be darker skinned and still be considered white. It's a strange thing. Something like that happens. It's not always about minorities and things. I remember someone, I forgot where heard this story, but there was a um, a story about I think it was a girl who said they asked her, "Are you African? Are you of African descent?" And she says yes. It was for a scholarship, and so they granted her the scholarship. But when she arrived, they wanted to take away because she was white. It it just didn't fathom to them that white people could be born and descended from Africa. There are white Africans, chat, but they want to take away the scholarship, even though she said all they did was ask, "Are you of African descent?" And yeah, she was born in Africa. She just happened to be white. Fortunately, she fought for it and she was able to keep it. But that's where the mindset is. They cannot comprehend that if you are from Africa, you might be white. Let's see here.
um, LGBTQ and disabled writers, like what can I do, and what kind of vocabulary should I be using? Because I think it's just easier. I just see it in the room. Like I just see them kind of go like it's just easier. Like the guy at the top's louder. It's harder to say like I think this should be a black writer. I think this should be an Asian American actor. I think it should be this type of like I would like to cast.
So how racist is that? How what kind of how low are your expectations that you just assume that if you ask for merit, if you ask for talent, that you're just going to get a bunch of white people? How there's a lot of, and I guess contrary to what your beliefs are, talent lies in people of all races and either gender. Okay, you're not just going to get white men if you ask for talented people. Okay, it's just not going to happen. There's so many different people of so many different backgrounds and races that are talented. Okay, so you can keep the meritocracy. Just ask for the best. Ask for the best of the best, and I guess that would exclude you right off the bat. But ask for the best of the best, and then select from there. That's how it should be. Ask for what someone who can fit the role, someone who can act the part, and someone who can do everything they can. Live up to the expectations that we need. Let's see here. Space junk. These two have like 10 tons of makeup on them. Yeah, they're glistening in this light. I don't know why. I honestly don't understand why they do this. It looks terrible. It kind of does. It makes them look kind of plasticky. They have like a plastic look to their faces. It's kind of strange. But yeah, why do they always have to do that? Why can't they just say, "I want someone talented who can fit this role"? Okay, and then you can select of that pool which person you want to play the part, instead of saying, "Let's give me anyone who fits these criteria." Instead of selecting someone solely based on the color of their skin, you can say, "Okay, give me a bunch of people who are talented who can fit this role, and then I'll select from there." And you can, and guess what? They're probably, probably not going to be white people. Some of them might be black or Asian or Hispanic. And if you don't want a white person, you don't have to pick a white person. Okay. So Leibowitz, you are so wrong about this. Karen, white supremacist, Karen. Diversity. Karen, homophobe. Let's see here.
And really I find it a lot as well with as a queer woman, like with gay characters, whether they be gay men or gay women, where I'm saying like that's not a gay person, like sorry, like this is not a gay person, like we're not representing that in this storyline, like
And that's it, chat. That's a little taste of what we're going to get into. Just a little taste. Just a little taste. Let's see here. All those Titans, thank you for the $7.99. Appreciate that. Continuing, my Harley get a gift, odd bending positive or negative, but it costs her, however, draining for other. How her kill someone by accident. So she has trouble using her powers, and she accidentally kills someone, and reaps repercussions of that. Very good. That's actually a really good idea, and make it. That's the one trouble that we had with Ray, and she was so overpowered but she paid no price for it. She paid no price for it whatsoever. So yeah, that's a great idea. If you're going to have a powerful character, go ahead and, you know, make them have a pay a price for using their power. Let's see here. Lucky Jinx, you want a gay man? Hire Milo. Yeah, he's the peak of gay men. That's what I would do. I would hire Milo for something, especially if you want a gay man. 'Cause he's very very openly gay, uh, and he acts like it. So if you hire him as a consultant, that'd be a good idea, I think. And he likes meritocracy. Before we get into the res chat, I wanted to get into this. Dr. Alpha Miracle Child somehow has gone from 38K, which we just did the Doki Doki Literature Club stream on, to 38K, 38,955. We're only what? We're only $45 away from 39,000, and we have to go back to the. We have to dive back into Doki Doki Literature Club so soon. This is amazing. This is amazing. I had no idea we would grow this fast, this quickly. So thank you, chat. I appreciate it. I'm not sure if you all want Dr. Alpha or you just want me to continue Doki Doki Literature Club. Or maybe it's both. I don't know. But we're getting very, very close. We're getting very, very close, chat. And I really appreciate it. Really appreciate everyone who's backed me up. Appreciate everyone who's taken the time and put faith in the project. And big things are coming down the line, chat. Big things are coming down the line fairly soon for Dr. Alpha. Hopefully today, maybe tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But that's where Dr. Alpha is right now, and we might be heading back into Doki Doki Literature Club fairly soon, it seems. And remember, at 40,000, everyone gets an extra short story. Everyone does. From all backers get an extra short story with no additional cost or anything like that. It's just added on to the the value of the product goes up. Anyways, want to show that to everyone. I was amazed when I saw it. Let's see here. John Bishop, have you read Soon I Will Be Invincible? Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, I've read that one. Absolutely. It was one of the bigger inspirations on Dr. Alpha. It was a really good book. Unfortunately, the guy who wrote it is kind of a one-hit wonder. I remember hearing stories about he wrote another book. It was commissioned to write another book. I could never really write something that great again. So I would suggest people read Soon I Will Be Invincible. Took a lot of inspiration from that book as well as The Killing Joke. It's really, really good. It's really, really good. I mean, there's some problems there. I think you might have forgotten a thing here and there, but it's essentially a more it's Watchmen, but not as serious. It's a little more fun. It's like a more fun superhero version of Watchmen. Watchmen was really dark and really took the superhero fun, quirkiness, and everything out of the equation. It's kind of Soon I Will Be Invincible. It's kind of like it's how you do what the SJWs and NPC people at Marvel are trying to do. It's how to do that correctly. There's no politics in there. It's how you can deconstruct. It's like a good middle ground. It's how you can deconstruct the superhero genre without actually having to not be in the superhero genre. It's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of good things in there. So you can still have superhero fun and see how strange superheroes can be, and it follows two different people. The main protagonist is Dr. Impossible, who is a super smart mad scientist and who is also invincible, more or less. He has superpowers and he's really smart. And then the other one is Fatale, who is a fledgling superhero going into an old group. Basically, it's a brand new hero joining the Justice League, and seeing how these superheroes act from the inside out, and the way that the author portrays superheroes in Soon I Will Be Invincible is excellent, because it should be noted down. If you ever want to write a superhero story for yourself, you should take note of how he writes these heroes. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Anyway, chat, we're not done with this with Leslie Headland. Here is another little interview before we get into the video on her. Let's see here. It's Variety. Variety reported on her, and we're going to read this. But here is a little look into her to prove that that she is doing a Star Wars and how she feels about Star Wars series, and how she feels about Star Wars.
Tell me, what kind of Star Wars fan are you?
I am the type of Star Wars fan that doesn't even have a favorite movie. I just want to live in the
Remember, if you were in previous episodes, Chad, if you heard previous episodes, these SJW NPC types, they always pretend to be fans of whatever they're going to be working in. They want to pretend to be Star Wars fans. They want to pretend to be uh, Star Trek fans, whatever franchise they want to corrupt and destroy. They always pretend to be fans of it. So, but they're never fans of it. So that's why they hate the idea of. That's why they hate the culture of being quizzed or something like that. That's why they hate. They say, I feel excluded from these events and being a fan because all these dumb fanboys, they just keep trying to determine whether or not I'm a fan or not by asking me questions about the fandom that I'm supposedly love. They hate it because fans usually love to answer questions and get in discussions with people about the things that they supposedly love. Uh, these fake geeks, these SJWs and NPCs who are not actual fans, they hate that because if they have to enter into a discussion, okay, it's going to be very clear that they're not actually fans. So they know that, so they try to hide it with by discrimination. They try to say that I don't know everything about this franchise, and they say that I'm not a true fan because I don't know anything. You don't know anything because you're not a fan. Okay, you're just there to either get attention or ruin the franchise. And this is very, very indicative. I'm one of those fans that doesn't have a favorite movie. It's why you're one of those fans that doesn't have a favorite movie, because you're not a fan of Star Wars. You're not a fan of Star Wars. You just want to have a series in Star Wars, so you can ruin it and inject your own toxic ideology in there, and tell us how bad of people we are. Let's see, Ruck and Felix for $9.99. Sorry, but can you summarize Deadbeats for me? No need, actually. If you're going to be here tomorrow, if you're going to catch the show tomorrow, we'll be covering Deadbeats once again. Tomorrow on Morning Nonsense, we're going to have a Deadbeat special. So you can go over it. But Deadbeats, if you do want a summarization, Deadbeats is essentially one of the worst things ever put together. It's an anthology. It's supposed to be a quote unquote horror anthology, and it is just not the way they want it to be. It's just horrible writing. If you are looking for good writing, it is a horror anthology. Okay, it's the scariest thing you could ever read. If you're looking for quality writing, it's horrible stuff, and it's full of woke nonsense. It's full of SJW NPC biases. It's just terrible. It's the worst thing. It's still the worst thing I've ever read. Worst thing I ever read. It's supposed to be a horror anthology, and it's written by all the usual proponents of woke nonsense. So many of them are in there. But yeah, I've said this before, Chad. These SJWs and NPCs, they are normally not fans of the things that they try to be fans of. They're normally not fans of things they try to infiltrate. Okay? They just want to get in there so they can change everything about it. Otherwise, it's very odd that they would be fans of a franchise. They say, I love this franchise. I just hate everything about it. So that's a very strange thing to be. So they're not fans, chat. Okay? Leslie Headland is obviously not a fan of Star Wars. She just wants to infiltrate it and ruin it. That's why they hate the idea. That's why they demonize the idea of discussion, of going to a fan meetup of a particular franchise like a Star Trek convention and being quizzed or being challenged on their knowledge or something. The things that normal fans love. Okay, they're like, this fans. If you're a male fan anyway, you love to prove your dominance. Okay, you love the idea of becoming or being seen as the fan who knows the most or understands the franchise the best. Okay, it's a thing that at least I know male fans love to do. Okay, they love to prove dominance over one another with more knowledge or understanding. Let's see here. Hex Harper, thank you much for the 5. Appreciate that. And look at Kathy Bates and Misery as inspiration for trying to be a fan. Yeah. They're worse than Kathy Bates. They do the whole Kathy Bates craziness where they would hobble the author that they love, and force the author to write a story in that they love in their image and the way they want it to be written, and force the author to not kill off the main character, but to continue the series. They do that. At least Kathy Bates in that scenario was an actual fan. But these people are Kathy Bates from Misery without being actual fans. All they want to do is force the author not to continue the franchise, but to ruin it. So they're worse than Kathy Bates. I would the Kathy Bates in Misery is far as their moral superior, I think. uh, so that's why, okay, okay, that's why they hate. That's why HWs and NPCs hate. Also, I guess this would go for the quote unquote fake geek girls or whatever, the ones that just want to cosplay and get attention, cheap attention. I guess that would also work. They're not really fans of the franchise. They just want to wear the costumes and get attention from the nerd boys in there, I guess. But this, which is there's nothing wrong with that. I don't care. But when I do start caring is when the SJWs and NPCs want to do that, and they say I'm a fan, but they keep quizzing me on things about the franchise. I don't know anything about the franchise because I'm not really a fan. I just want to infiltrate. I just want to infiltrate the franchise so I can ruin it. And if they keep asking me these questions, they're going to find out I'm not actually a fan. I just want to get in there and ruin it. So that's kind of what happens. That's why they hate being quizzed. That's why they hate entering discussions of the franchise. That's why they say that discussions are being quizzed on the franchise. Okay, is what a quote unquote gatekeeping. We all know. If you've seen previous episodes, you know what they mean by gatekeeping. It means that they personally felt left out. It means they weren't being kept out. It means they certainly personally felt left out. I see Barry Bend. If an SJW complains about being gatekept out of Gundam, we just say that there's a wiki and watch some movies, watch some series. If they can't handle it, they just leave. Yeah, that's the idea. That's the mindset they unfortunately have. Is it's not up to them to learn about the franchise. It's up to you to dumb things down so they can understand it. Okay. The author, the Witcher the Five. If Dr. Alpha ends up becoming God tier, would you rather make a Dr. Alpha movie or show? Also, would you have it be live action or animated? I'm not really sure. I think I would rather have it become a show because I have so much story to tell, and I had to cut out I had to cut out some bits and pieces from the main series, from the main story of Miracle Child. Maybe I might one day release the prose version because it has more things in there. There's more story in there that I had to cut out from the comic version. But I think I might have preferred for it to be a TV show. I'm pretty sure that might be the case. But I wouldn't mind it being a movie. But personally, I think I might prefer for it to be a TV show. But that'd be great. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to either, as long as I have control. I would willingly sacrifice my cut of the profits or whatever to have proper control of the TV series or the movie, so none of this stuff happens. So they don't inject their woke nonsense into my Dr. Alpha franchise. By the way, speaking of Dr. Alpha, I actually went ahead and ordered the mailers. I ordered 1,000 mailers. They arrived just fine. But it's a lot. It was a lot. I just had I like 4 or 5 gigantic boxes of mailers on my doorstep. I think they said it was like 65 pounds or so of mailers. It's a lot of stuff, chat. It's a lot of stuff. But I can't wait to start shipping this out to everyone. Can't wait till it's done. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be fantastic. And let's see here. As Ayukia, honestly, it's impossible to summarize Gundam for these SJWs since most Gundam discuss gray areas and morality, something they can't do. Yeah, the only an SJW deals in absolutes. That's all they deal in is absolutes. So Leslie Headland, she doesn't have a favorite Star Wars movie. You know why? Because she's not a Star Wars fan. She wants to pretend to be one so she can ruin Star Wars.
The universe of Star Wars continually in perpetuity forever. So when people are like, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? I'm like, there is no Star Wars movie. There is only Star Wars.
So when are you writing a Star Wars?
There is no Star Wars movie. There's only Star Wars. That's a cheap way. It's a nice turnaround of saying I've never seen a Star Wars movie before. I've never been into Star Wars before. I never read a Star Wars book. I never watched a Star Wars series. I never played a Star Wars game. But I'm going to be heading up a Star Wars series, so I can use that very popular, very popular franchise, still very popular property and very valuable property as a platform to spout my weirdo politics. That's essentially what she's saying. Because I know that because I've seen this happen over and over again.
Star Wars movie?
Oh, please, please, Queen Kathleen Kennedy.
Do you have ideas?
Oh yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think I've had ideas for.
Yeah, we heard your ideas. We're going to make it diverse. We're going to make it this and that. What about story? What about characterization? What about keeping true to the franchise? What's that? How can she possibly keep true to the franchise if she doesn't have a favorite movie? She can't name a single one. She can't even talk about the franchise other than Star Wars is Star Wars. There are no Star Wars movies. It's just Star Wars. You think a Star Wars fan would say, I love this, I love that, I was inspired by this. Do you have any ideas? Oh, yes, I have plenty of ideas. How about instead of that, we could have gotten, you have any ideas? Oh, yes, remember this, and I love this, and here's what I loved about this movie, here's what I loved about that. You don't have to have a favorite movie, but you probably would have favorite moments if you're an actual fan, right? So how about instead of saying all that stuff, there's only Star Wars. A true fan might have said something like, I really love this from this movie. I really love that from that series. I love this from that game. Some indication of where you're going because you're being interviewed right now that you're going to become a writer, a showrunner for a new Star Wars series. And you think it would be kind of a good idea to give us a little hint that you know Star Wars or that where you're coming from for this series, but you can't because you haven't seen Star Wars, have you? You don't know anything about the franchise. You're just pretending to so that you can ruin it. Okay. Otherwise, to me, I think you would have said something along the lines of, "Here's what I'm going to do. Here's my direction of where I'm going to go with the writing and what I inspired from." So we know your ideas. We know what kind of ideas you have already. It's going to be identity politics, and you have no idea where you're going, what direction you're going to go, story wise. Are you? It's going to be. We saw your interview. Okay, we saw your interview. It is not conjecture. You just straight up told us this, and now you have any lack of you just stepped away and it's, kind of ran away from the question of what kind of Star Wars fan are you? The answer was she's not a Star Wars fan. I don't know why, but they just keep giving the reins to these big franchises to people who are not fans of these franchises. Obviously, you're not fans of these franchises. I see the numbers. There is no Star Wars movie except for A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, and Star Wars Holiday Special. Yeah, there's only out of the 6 Star Wars movies, there's some great ones in there. Some great ones in there for the prequels to the original trilogy. Some great ones in there. And see, Into the Human Race. This is what happens when you hire for diversity. You get people like this who aren't even fans of the franchise, deciding its future. Yeah, they always say they are. But they're not. They don't. At least they have not proven to us that they are. It's why we like to prove things, chat. It's like we like to question people because it's just fun. But when our showrunners, the people who are taking the reins of this stuff, we want to know that they are also that they share the love and the passion that we have. Because we want the fans to be at the reign of this thing. We want the fans to be at the head of this thing. Unfortunately, they rarely ever are. At least not these days. Matthew J. Nimno, people can't have a favorite because that might exclude someone who has a different movie or a different favorite. That's offensive. Yeah, they don't want to. They want to exclude people. They just don't want to exclude. I don't know. Some people. They don't want to say that. Oh, this is my favorite, and then all of a sudden people get a backlash. They don't want to get canceled so soon.
Star Wars movies since I was 13 years old, maybe 8 years old.
Sure. But you can't describe them. You can't tell us anything about them. You can't tell us what inspirations, which one your favorite movie was, or at the very least your favorite moment. You can't add any of that, can you? Anyway, Chad. Let's see here. Let's cover this in detail with Yellow Flash, shall we? And then we can move on from there. I'll give you the choice of what we cover next. There's so much nonsense, Chad. So much nonsense. Let's see here. Here we go. Let's check it out. There's your boy Yellow Flash helping us cover this.
What's going on, everybody? So it's been a while since I've really done some true Star Wars news because, well, in truth, there hasn't been much to talk about. Other than Obi-Wan, which got delayed. And now I really wonder, what are the reasons that show got delayed? Because, well, apparently it was the script. Kathleen Kennedy didn't like the script. But she likes this Star Wars series from Russian Doll co-creator Leslie Headland in the works at Disney Plus. Oh, I can feel your excitement coming through the microphone right now. All of you.
Are you excited, chat? You feel excited about this? Are you just ramped up and ready to watch it to see what kind of a series, what kind of brilliant, stunning, and brave masterpiece of a series Leslie Headland will be issuing out on Disney Plus? I know I am. There's nothing but excitement in my heart for this chat. I see Rocket Sailors for $9.99. Appreciate that. She isn't an artist. She's a damn business major. Oh, she is? That makes sense. I don't know why, but someone has actually said this before, that these franchises usually start off in the hands of someone who actually loves the ideas, like George Lucas. Even though he's not really a writer, he's more of an idea guy, and then everyone else kind of pitched in and built Star Wars up from the ground up. But there's an interesting trend where it goes from for franchises go from being remaining in the hands of writers and creatives, and then they kind of gravitate towards advertising people and people with charts and graphs and stuff, and you kind of lose the humanity, you kind of lose the creativity, and it all falls into the hands of business majors and communications experts and stuff. It's all about marketing. Instead of having a department to market the things that the creators have come up with, it's become the marketing people who come up with the stories and the ideas and where the shows will go. It's kind of what saved Neil Gaiman's Sandman. It's kind of what saved it, because Neil Gaiman wrote Sandman in such a way that no one could actually take it over. So it could not fall into the same trap that so many other franchises did. Fortunately for Sandman. So it stayed it was made by a very passionate creator, and stayed as a creation made by a very passionate creator, and stayed out of the hands of these marketing people. All they could do was sit by helplessly and market it, and they could not dip their hands into these things. And these things these franchises become popular, and they can become so popular that they say, well, how can we make it more popular? How can we improve it? How can we make people love it even more? I know. Let's take the humanity out of it and start marketing it more. Let's take the stories out of the hands of writers and give it into the hands of marketing people. SAKH, thank you very much for the 2. Appreciate that. Good morning. I hope you don't run out of internet gas. I hope so too, chat. I hope so too. But if I do, just know I will be back. I will be back. It's not over until it's over, chat. It's not over until it is over. Let's see here. Edgar BM. It was Steve Jobs that said companies are ruined when company decisions move from creatives to marketing. Strange thing that Steve Jobs said. Very ironic, but yeah, he was right when he said that. That's correct. When he goes from creatives to marketing, you're in trouble. That's when it starts going downhill. Because marketing people are marketing people. They're not creatives. Okay, they're not storytellers. They're marketing people. Nexus 906. Thank you very much for the 2. Money trumps creativity in our corporate world. Yeah, unfortunately, that seems to be the case. This is why you see so many of these big franchises go downhill. It stops being a production of passion and love, and starts being a production of numbers and charts and math. Don't want that. I see here.
Of you that were worried about Star Wars, I'm sure, are just feeling so much more at ease now. You're excited. The excitement's back. I'm sure this is going to sell tons of toys. It's going to bring all the women to the franchise, all the ladies that they want to come watch.
I don't know why they hate the women who like Star Wars already. Women like Star Wars. There was a female fan base for Star Wars already. They existed. It's not just men. Okay, but and if you're trying to appeal to more women, you're doing that by changing everything about Star Wars, changing the direction, changing the heroes, changing the way heroes and the Force and the established lore are done and portrayed, then you are betraying all fans, not just the male ones, but all of them. And you're going, instead of taking in new fandoms, instead of taking in entirely new people, you're going to just be alienating the fan base you already had.
Star Wars are going to jump right in now. Kathleen Kennedy's not going anywhere. She's here to stay. She's here to stay. I'm sorry to tell you. She's not going anywhere. And I know a lot of people had their hopes up.
Yeah, because unfortunately, chat, I think I've said this in previous streams, and I'll about to say it again. These people are here to troll us. Okay, they're not making creations out of passion. They're making creations out of hatred. Okay, they hate us, chat. They hate you. They hate us, the toxic fans, the quote unquote toxic fans, the big dumb fanboys. They hate us. It's like Marvel being the most blatant one. Okay, the one where they spend thousands of dollars making comics that intentionally make us angry. They're not really there to tell a story. Not there to tell a story out of passion. They're there to tell us a quote unquote a political story out of hatred for us. And that's the same reason why they keep Kathleen Kennedy around. The same reason why Kathleen Kennedy will not be going away anytime soon, because they know that Kathleen Kennedy being at the head of this thing, at the head of Lucasfilm, makes us angry. That we hate it. That the fans hate her. The fans hate the direction she's taking Star Wars, and that's the very reason why they will not get rid of her, because they want you to be angry, chat. They want to make you angry. They hate you, chat. They hate the fandom. They hate the franchise. They hate the fandom that the franchise has garnered over the last few decades. They hate him, and they hate you, chat. And this is why they'll keep hiring Leslie Headlands. This is why they'll keep hiring Rian Johnsons. This is why they'll keep going, and they'll keep running in the direction we tell them not to go in. And they'll keep and why they'll keep Kathleen Kennedy at the head of Lucasfilm. And they'll never ever stop. They got their claws into Star Wars, and they're not letting go. The weirdos have taken over Star Wars, and they're never ever letting go. They are more concerned with making you angry than they are with writing a good story and continuing the franchise in a proper manner. I see Ruck and Salix for 499. They might have someone actually write such direct for her behind the scenes, like a fixer. Any smart company would have a figurehead to appease the woke. You would hope they would. You would hope they would. But I've seen they don't usually do that. Especially if they say that if they gave her make her the public head runner, the showrunner for this thing, and then it comes out that they had a person behind the scenes. Oh, you just don't trust women. It'll be a PR disaster. But we as fans, we can only hope. We can only hope that would be the case. They would have someone in the background fixing things. I doubt it. I mean, I hope that's correct, but I doubt it. But if it happens to be the case, then of course people will start to like it. They'll continue hiring Leslie Headlands, because she'll be taking all the credit. As the Hex Harper, which are the two. Marketing. Sandman needs more Fortnite dances. Yeah, thank you, Neil Gaiman, for sparing us from that nonsense. As you know, that's what would happen. That's exactly what would happen, chat. If Sandman continued, if Sandman was handed off to another author, another writer, it's exactly what we headed for. If you're going from someone who really loves Sandman, who was really passionate about the writing, and it'll fall into the hands of marketing people. And marketing people tend to ruin things. I don't know what their deal is. They love to ruin things, chat. They just love to ruin things. Is it KH in Witcher 5? The Force is female by Disney equals our wallets and not attend our idiotic nonsense by consumers. Yeah, exactly. They're alienating people by saying the Force is female. It's a jab at the male audience. It's a jab at the predominantly male audience. And that's what I mean, chat. That's what I mean when I say these things. Okay, from a business perspective, why would you ever say the Force is female? Why would you ever do that? Because you're then alienating your majority of your audience. You could say the Force is powerful. You could say the Force is is non-discriminatory. I don't know. But saying the Force is female. What if I said the Force is male? They would say that's discriminatory. They would say that's excluding women, right? Well, then you're excluding men by saying the Force is female. Why, from a business perspective, would you ever do that? If you're really passionate about Star Wars, if you're really writing in a way to enhance or continue Star Wars in a proper manner, why would you ever do something like that? Why would you ever continue hiring Leslie Headlands, who doesn't seem like they're fans of Star Wars? Why would you ever hire Ryan Johnson, who I think admittedly said that he didn't care about Star Wars. He just wanted to write his own thing. He just used Star Wars as a popular label to get his movies seen. Okay, why would you ever do that and continue to do that if you what you wanted was to continue Star Wars properly? What you wanted was to continue Star Wars and uphold the franchise and and appease the fans or give deference to the fans who have dedicated decades, some of them in some cases decades, to the franchise you are now running. Why would you ever do that? Unless your idea is not to continue the franchise, not to respect the franchise, but to make the former fans angry, to make you angry, Chad, to make us angry. That's what they're trying to do. They want to alienate the fans that they have built the franchise on for new fans. They want to abandon you. And it's like how Patreon and Kickstarter, those companies have built their entire reputations, built their entire platforms on the backs of artists and the crazy, the different, and the offensive. And then once bigger and better things come along, kick those people out, betray those people, and say that you're no longer needed. Same energy, chat. Same energy. They used you, and now they're done with us. Okay, they used us, and now they're done with us. That's the message they are giving us. It's the message they are telling us every time they continue to hire a new Leslie Headland, a new person who hates Star Wars or who is not a fan of it, or who is obviously there to troll the fandom. Every time they do that, it's saying we're done with you. We're done with you, old Star Wars fans. We're done with you, people who have dedicated decades to us. We're done with you. We have thrown you away like a used tissue paper, and we are going to new and better pastures. That's what they're saying, chat. Uh, they're not here to placate to the fans. They're not here to respect the fans. They're here to make you angry so you leave because they are done with you. And see Obelisk Titans, in which are the 799. Also, idea magic source power thinking a dead man and Harley fight dragon in modern city. Idea magic items and basic operations. Be abandoned carnival. That would be interesting. You mean like a real dragon, or are you talking about the trope the dragon, which means the main bad guy's right hand man? It could be either way. It could be either way. So it's an interesting idea. But are you talking about a real like mythical winged fire breathing dragon? Or are you talking about the trope dragon, which is basically like I don't know. Let's see here. What's a good example of a dragon? Basically, it's the right hand man. If you watched the original Hellboy movie, the main antagonist I think was Rasputin. The assassin Nazi guy, that would be the dragon, or arguably could be the dragon. Basically, it's the right hand. Oh, you know what? Darth Vader, obviously. We're talking about Star Wars so much. Darth Vader is the iconic, ideal dragon trope. He is the right hand man of the Emperor. So let's see here. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. See, Education 47 for life. Thank you, Richard, too. Appreciate that. The Force is redheaded. It is now, chat. The Force is Dr. Alpha. The Force is Ginger. Let's see here. Angel that sword, my favorite Literature Devil quote. Liking something is not enough to call yourself a fan. Being a fan takes work, dedication, passion, and knowledge. I'm paraphrasing, but I want to leave it there. Yeah, it does. That's exactly what happens when you're a fan. If you like something, it doesn't mean you're a fan of something. A fan is a real true fan is not someone who just knows things. Okay, a real true fan is someone who dedicates things to the franchise. So if you're a Star Wars fan, you watch the movies, you look into the lore. Okay, you might like the Star Wars movies, but if you don't move into everything else, then yeah, I guess you're kind of a light fan, but you're just kind of casual. You're kind of a casual watcher of Star Wars. A fan a fan is someone who buys the video games, who looks into the lore, who knows the continuity, knows the characters, knows all the extra stuff. Okay, I might not know everything, but being a fan is not just liking something. Being a fan is work, it's dedication, it's passion, it's knowledge. You don't have to be a fan of something; it's not required. But if you call yourself a fan of something, it's assumed that you are really, really passionate about it. At the very least, very, very passionate about this franchise, about this property. If you said, yeah, I know the Star Wars movies. I kind of like this that one movie with the Han Solo, where he does this and that, where he hits on Leia or whatever. Yeah, you can like the movies, but you're not really all that passionate about it. A fan, the baseline of a fan, a true fan, what we call a fan base, someone who dedicates themselves to the franchise, someone who will see the franchise and say, "Here's my money. Here's franchise." See the franchise and say, "Give me that product. Give me that. I want this. I want this new stuff." Someone who really enjoys, who really gets into the details and nitty gritty of a franchise. That's a fan. That's a true fan. Someone who doesn't just say, "Yeah, I like that one Star Wars movie." The person who is a fan. The baseline of a fan is passion. So instead of saying, "I like that one Star Wars movie where Han Solo hits on Leia," they'll say, "I love that Star Wars movie. I love The Empire Strikes Back because of reasons 1, 2, and 3. I love this. I love this scene. I love that scene. And here are the reasons why I love that scene. And it really expands this and it really goes into that." Okay, different energy, chat. A fan has a very passionate energy about it. So just liking something is just attending a Star Wars movie does not make you a fan of a franchise. Okay, anyone can like something, but to be a fan takes passion, real passion. Okay, let's see here. Hatch450SX, thank you much for the 5. Appreciate that. They forget real fans are still parents and will be around for a long time. They better be planning over 100 years into the future. Yeah, because the parents of those fans say they could have kids and they say, oh, and the kids can go, oh, I really like those new movies, because they're kids and kids can like kids are very very they tend to like things. Okay, they tend to like things, and then later on you learn about details and you learn about quality, and then later on you say, "I used to like this as a kid." How many times have you heard that? How many times have you said that? I used to like this as a kid, but now that I watch it again, it's not so good. Yeah, it's a common occurrence. So when these true fans have kids and they see these new Star Wars properties and they say, "I like that," and the parents say, "Actually, check this out. This is Star Wars. This is how Star Wars used to be," and then the kids will say, "Oh, this is so much better than what I just saw." It happens, chat, and they'll say, I'm not gonna. I don't like this new Star Wars stuff. I like this old Star Wars stuff. The Star Wars stuff that my parents love. It's fantastic. I think I'll stick around with this. It's a very good possibility that might happen. So not only are they alienating old fans, there's a very good chance that you are right. They are alienating future fans as well.
Up. A lot of people were excited. I predicted we would know by Star Wars Celebration because they have to re-up her contract by Star Wars Celebration. They have to announce something. This is the last year of it. So by Star Wars Celebration, if she didn't get re-upped, she was gone. I predicted that she was going to announce a protege that would take over. Well, I'm going to go ahead and announce right now she's not going anywhere. She's not going anywhere. All that High Republic trash that we just went over. When was that? Like last month? How all of the people that are associated with it are pretty used to telling fans to.
Yeah, just this in case you don't know, chat. High Republic is a nice, soft, fleshy part of the Star Wars franchise that the SJWs and NPCs found and are now building the colony. And it's close. It's far away enough from the original trilogy where they can do anything they want with little backlash, with little realistic backlash, because there's no established lore in this era. But it's close enough to the original trilogy where they can still ruin it. So they can it's kind of like they've taken a sniper's perch. They've established kind of a sniper's nest where they can safely snipe at the original trilogy, safely snipe at the foundation of Star Wars, and ruin it from afar with taking little risk to backlash. The sequels trilogy had high risk, and they suffered huge backlash because of continuity and the ruination of characters directly. But the High Republic is where they're going to be ruining the Star Wars franchise completely, from afar and safely, or as safe as possible. Let's see here. Hex Harper, thanks for the $1.99. Appreciate that. We need to tell SJWs it's okay to be casual. Yeah. Yeah, they're not fans, but they are. They might be casuals, but they're not actually fans. They don't have the passion required to be fans. They just know. They just know things. They just. They just. They might have watched a movie or two one time. They might have just watched the sequel trilogy. Who knows? But a lot of them don't really come off as fans. Because being a fan of something is at the very least being passionate about something, really passionate. And I have not seen one of these SJW NPC people show any sort of passion towards anything regarding Star Trek or Star Wars, uh, uh, unless they're talking about identity politics. That stuff they're really passionate about. Just compare. Okay, chat. They do a lot of interviews, so compare one of these SJWs and NPC people. Compare how they speak about Star Wars and Star Trek, as opposed to how they speak about identity politics. It's like night and day. It's like night and day, chat. They're basically dead when it comes to Star Wars and Star Trek. Like, yeah, they don't. It's like they don't really care. But when it comes to identity politics, that's where they get really fired up. That's where they get really energized. So that's where they start cussing. So they make their dads angry. Let's see here. Lucky Jinx, welcome to the chat. We were dumb kids, but at least we had good taste in shows and movies. Hence why we could tell that when entertainment is on a downward spiral. Yeah, isn't like just like the old saying goes, it doesn't take a chef to know when the food is bad. Okay, so we don't need degrees. We don't need to be movie makers ourselves to know that we are watching a horrible movie. We watch the sequel trilogy. I see Alex Halo, thank you very much for the 5. Appreciate that. Me and Alex Star are dedicated to Fate series. Look at how much we spend on the phone game. Now to pray to the gotcha gods for good rules. Yeah. I mean, fans are you might not be the most knowledgeable fan, but yeah, if you're a fan, I'm pretty sure it's fair to say that you are at least passionate about something. If you're a fan of Star Trek, I mean, if you watched my episode yesterday, you could tell I'm a fan of Star Trek. And if you don't know what I mean, go ahead and watch the ending of yesterday's episode. You could probably tell I'm a fan of Star Trek, at least a little bit. It takes at least passion to be a fan about something. You can tell by how someone speaks about something whether or not they have passion about it. Okay, let's listen to, for example, let's go listen to that Star Wars girl. Well, listen to her speak about Star Wars. The passion is clear there. Listen to Ethan Van Sciver talk about Cyberfrog. Passion is very clear there. Listen to a lot of these people, a lot of these YouTubers talk about their favorite franchises. It's very clear that they are at least passionate. They might not know everything about the franchise and might not know the all the minutia. But that's not what makes a fan. At the very least, a fan is passionate, and they are dedicated to these franchises. They love them. They love them with all their hearts. So yeah, you play it on your phone. You play it anywhere you can. You are a fan if you are excited to see a new installment and hoping that it's good. You're a fan if you are angry or if you feel hatred towards something that not only is terrible, a new installment that not only is terrible, but something that clearly and directly disrespects and outright ruins the franchise that you love. You are entitled to your anger, chat. If you love Star Wars, you are entitled to your anger because you are fans. It's not one. It's okay. It's not a one-sided relationship here. They put energy and time into their movies and works. Well, not the sequel series. Obviously, didn't the writers didn't put that much energy into it. But you, as fans, you as people who have been on the participating role, you as consumers, who have been reading the books, playing the games, and watching the movies. Okay, you've made sacrifices too. You've made investments too, and you have every right to be angry if the new franchise that you've loved, the new installments of the franchise you loved with a passion, betrays you. Okay, they say you have no right to be angry. You're just dumb fanboys. No, you have every right to be angry if the franchise betrays you, Chad. Every right. You are entitled as fans. You are entitled as consumers. You are entitled as investors. Okay, you invested time and money into this. You are entitled to your anger. You're entitled to your anger. You're entitled to even hatred. You're entitled. This as you are. They want your love, Chad. They want your love. They want your dedication. and you are entitled to give your love or dedication. But what they don't know, what they don't want to acknowledge, is that you are equally entitled to your hatred. You are equally entitled to anger as you are entitled to your love and dedication. Okay? You are entitled to give them either because you are fans. Danny Spike, aka HAC, you're absolutely correct, LitDev. My brother has been getting into Star Wars, and he's unimpressed with any of the sequel stuff. He really enjoys the OT and the PT and Clone Wars. And I'm not surprised because original trilogy, fantastic. Clone War series, I've heard, is great, especially if you're talking about the Gideon Tartakovsky ones. And the prequel trilogy has a lot of problems, but they're still enjoyable. Still very enjoyable. And I would willfully and gleefully watch the prequel trilogy any day of the week before I watch any of the sequel trilogy again voluntarily. Okay. Let's see here. Obelisk Titans, very much with 799. It both a mythical dragon who fight right hand, big bad, dead man, hardly break a prison, run into a abandoned carnival built. Okay, so it's both of them. Okay, it's both. That's interesting setting then. If the dragon is the right hand man of the bad guy and an actual dragon. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Very, very good. Anyway, chat, let's continue.
Lick their boots and say nasty things. They fit right in with the Lucasfilm family. Obi-Wan's delayed, and now we have this. And this just screams Kathleen Kennedy.
Let's see. Eve on. LD, thanks for everything. Back Miracle Child 2 days ago. Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Awesome. Awesome. What is the state of the campaign? When are you going to send the comic? If you have an exact date in mind. Well, I think right now we're predicting hopefully in September of this year, because it's a very long comic. Usually, independent comics have been 50 pages. It's going to be 122. That kind of the new short story should we get there. But and I put in the FAQ, the frequently asked questions list, that we might be late. It's a possibility because it's my first comic and we're working on it. And I've been releasing updates with pages. If you want to go look through the previous updates, there are pages in there about I've been releasing about 5 or 6 pages per update. And but it's being worked on. We're trying to make our deadline. We're doing everything in our power to make the deadline. But I do have a plan that if we are late, then I'm going to start releasing more content. So it's not just going to be, oh, we're just late. I plan to release more content, as it's compensation for our lateness. But hopefully we're not going to be. But it's well underway. We're still working very hard on the campaign, and I'm hoping to get it out on time. Like I said, I bought the mailers already. It's a lot of mailers. I bought 1,000 of them. If I need more, then I'll get more. But I only had bought 1,000 of them. So it's well underway. It's well underway. If you want on Subscribestar, if you want to, if you join my Subscribestar for at the I think as little as $1 per month, then the entire script for Dr. Alpha Miracle Child is available if you want to read through it. Of course, it's going to be spoilers. It's the whole thing, but it is available for anyone who wants to read through it on Subscribestar. But it's going pretty well. I think it's going pretty well so far. CKH and which are two. So, are we entitled for fan service and loot stuff? I guess you could be. It's possible. Let's see here. Angela Sword, those who stamp out the passion of creative work do so because they serve not the franchise but themselves. Fans serve the franchise. Exactly. Fans are the dedicated. Fans are basically the keepers of the franchise, and they might they usually if you see a fan get angry or dislike something, notice how it's usually because they feel like the source of their anger or the source of their discontent revolves around how the source in their eyes discredits or debunks or harms the franchise that they love. So you might say, oh, they're just a geek or something. They're just an angry fan. That's why I say there's no real toxic fans unless they're Raylos or something. Because if they're a true fan, if there's someone who really truly loves the franchise, then when they get angry, when they start hating something, it's usually more often than not because they feel that the source of their discontent is something that came from is something that disrespects the franchise that they love. Usually, you might disagree with what with their reasoning. You might disagree with their dislike of whatever they might dislike, which usually comes from a place of love and passion. Okay, usually. Now there might be some fans who take it way too far. I mean, you just look at Twilight, but your typical fan, the fans that and now they call every fan toxic who doesn't like their new stuff, but and there might be some toxic fans who whatever. There might be some for better lack of a better term at the moment, but mostly they call you a toxic fan because you are angry. You don't like the stuff that they're putting out. But a true fan will get angry at the franchise that they love. Doesn't mean they hate the franchise. It just might mean that there's something in it that they hate because of they feel that the source of the hate has betrayed the franchise. See, Alex Halo, thanks for the 5. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. We need Toma from Index to Dragon Punch and destroy these these people's illusions. You keep bringing up Index. I think it's a harem anime. I think, right? I think it's what you keep referring to. Let's see here. Let's see here. Rock and Salix for the 99. Dragons, smart, powerful, and also dragons, no pants. They're referring to the here how you deserve lewdness. Titanic Tuna, we deserve fan service and lewd stuff. Okay, okay. I'll take that. I'll take that. Let's see. Thomas Preston, 156 watching, 51 likes, and zero dislikes. Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very much, chat. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Dr. Crow, thanks for 499. Appreciate that. Why would you say a good starting goal for a 20-page comic be? Getting close to being done, and my third final draft. Let's see here. I need to research. Let's see here. I need to research. Well, I did a private stream on breaking down what my preparations were on on how I did Dr. Alpha. If you want to go check that out, it's on my Subscribe Star for for as low as $1, I think. But what I can tell you, for about 20 pages, I would set aside about $3,000 for the art if it's going to be in color. This estimated about $3,000 for a 20-page comic. If it's going to be in color and all that stuff, and then maybe another 3,000 in this case for shipping. Maybe another 3,000 for printing because they're all about the same price. I mean, if you spend about $3,000 on art, just times about 3, and maybe I would say about $10,000. Okay, about $10,000 for a 20-page comic. This would be on the safe side. This would be on the safe side, and keep the quality up. You don't have to go that high. I don't know. You don't have to go that high, but it's probably way too high. But I'm just being generous in the estimates there. It's probably way too $10,000 probably way over your limit of what you actually need. But at the very least, I would set aside $3,000 for a 20-page comic for the art. At the very least, at the very least. But good luck with that. Good luck. Anyway,
Oliver, she's not going anywhere. If she was going to be fired or step down in hand quotations, however they were going to handle it, this wouldn't be announced. But because it is announced, this screams to me that she's not going anywhere. What has Leslie worked on? What do we have to look forward to on what kind of show this will be? Well, I'm not sure, but we can take a look at her IMBD and see exactly what kind of stuff she's worked on.
Let's see, the author, thank you much for the 2. Appreciate that. Are you thinking I should start drawing smut? Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's become a meme by now. A bunch of struggling artists who are doing freelance work, they tell themselves, "We'll never do porn. I just want to do good artistic works." But however, they're faced with the dilemma of paying bills, and people who want smut tend to pay the most, and people who want furry smut tend to pay even more. So, if you want to pay bills, that seems to be the best direction to go. You don't have to go furry, but yeah, smut sells. Smut seems to be selling. I've seen that so many times from so many freelance artists, It's become. I think people they have made comics about it because it's so frequent that they dedicate themselves to draw. They want to draw good stuff, and they just end up drawing smut a lot because it pays. It pays the bills. Also, I think that someone told me that one of the artists told me that working on a lot of smut really helps out with their. No, someone told me that a lot of manga artists or whatever, they they get a lot of skills by starting off as hentai artists because it really allows them to work on their anatomy. So, am I saying that? Not directly, but maybe. Until Human Race in 1 with 5, appreciate that. From Titanic Tuna, a true friend gets angry at their friends making terrible decisions. Exactly, exactly. Um, a true fan is not someone who just says everything is fantastic. A true fan is someone who sees the franchise that they love going down the wrong direction. If your friend has a horrible drinking problem, you're not really all that great of a friend if you say, "Hey, this is good. There's nothing wrong." A good friend will point out the drinking problem and try to help out that friend, right? A good fan will point out how sick their franchise has become and dislike the things that are ruining it. Let's see the numbers. Once again, Japan is ahead of us. Yoko Taro collects the Ichi fans draw of 2. I think someone might have mentioned someone had done that. They asked for lewd artwork of their own property, or they ask fans to send them the lewd artwork. I'm not really sure, but I think someone mentioned that before. And see here. Nexus 906, thank you for 5. Sex sells. Furries like the tiff, and hentai is still art. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it pays. I've seen so many artists say they don't really want to do it, but they do it because it pays quite a bit. And people who want like the artsy stuff, there aren't very many of those. There aren't too many of those, and it's because there's so few of those people who want to commission artists and not commission them to do smut. It's they're kind of rare in comparison, relatively speaking. Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Let's go ahead and take a trip down memory lane here and just see what kind of projects she's worked on. What has she written? What has she directed? Because that's what she's being brought on
This should be interesting, chat. Let's see what she's worked on, shall we?
to do for the show. She's going to write it. She's going to direct it. So let's take a look here and just see exactly what we're dealing with. So we can go to Russian Doll first. This seems to be the big one. This is the one
Yeah,
that
Russian Doll is the one she's apparently being known for right now. This is a series on Netflix, and it's apparently the one that it's being touted to everyone. It's the show that all the news media is saying that she's from. Look, Leslie Headland, the runner for Russian Doll, is going to be heading up Star Wars. So here's a big cash cow apparently. Rock and Salix for $1.99, appreciate that. Artists on Twitter only draws kobolds for 400 a pop. Interesting. I guess you can. Yeah. So there's 2 ways to do this, chat, and There's one way is draw smut, obviously. The other way is, I guess this works for authors too. But if you're an independent writer and you're trying to make a name for yourself, you're trying to make money writing in your own, being independent, an indie publisher, then a quick way to success is find a niche. So like not just like sci-fi, but I mean sci-fi and dystopia and not just sci-fi dystopia, but sci-fi dystopia android romance or something. You narrow it down as much as possible. Your audience will be smaller, but you also have the advantage of there being less competition. If there's an audience for it, then there'll be people will be buying it. And if there's not very many choices to choose from, the chances of people buying your product will go up a lot. So that's one of the main pieces of advice that so many people who go into indie publishing give. Find a niche and work in your niche. And if your niche is drawing kobolds, then there you have it. There you have it. Let's see here. And see Literature Devil. How is this for a pitch to show your book? What do you mean the lewd stuff? I don't. Oh, this. Uh, let's see here. Hatch 450SX. When all hope runs out, could you rely on a supervillain to help? Back Dr. Alpha. Support Literature Devil. Appreciate that. Awesome. Fantastic. Very nice work, Hatch. Awesome. 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 I would also like to point out that Black Lagoon was written by a woman, has more violence and nudity than most any non ecchi series I've ever seen. I've heard of Black Lagoon. I didn't know it was written by a woman though. I've heard of Black Lagoon. Interesting. Darth Mook, which she worked on. She has worked on Weinstein and his person as his personal assistant. A lot of people have, I think, and they move on to greater things, having done horrible things for it, and then they tell us that we're sexist. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
I'm guessing probably got their attention. A cynical young woman in New York City keeps dying and returning to the party that's being thrown in her honor on the same evening. She tries to find a way out of this strange time loop. Oh, time travel. I remember one guy that did a time movie before Star Wars. Did a movie called Looper. That was old Ryan Johnson. So I wonder if they're going to go ahead and give her the show based on this. Let's look at something else. Almost Family. A woman who grew up as an only child discovers that her father fathered many other children as a sperm donor. Ooh. Let's go on and go to the next one. Black Monday. A group of outsiders takes on the 1980s Old Boys Club of Wall Street. Man, this Star Wars show is sounding better already, isn't it? Oh, we got another one right here. Heathers. A TV version of a 1988 black comedy. Heathers, where an outcast student plots to take out the cool kids.
These are all really cringy shows. Of course, it'll be all about New York. They only know their own personal experience. They don't branch out into things. That's one thing you have to do as a writer if you want to be a good writer. Because it's not my experience entirely, but this is I've heard this from so many other authors. Chat. You have to branch out. You have to experience different things. Neil Gaiman did this. Okay, Lee Child did this. So many other authors out there. So many other authors. They experienced other things beside their own daily life. So get out of New York. Get out of your little bubble, and experience other things. Okay. Dr. Crow, $10,000. That's a lot of money. It is. It is. I think I way overestimated. I think I way overestimated. This is that I would tell you that so that you don't fall short. But to look into things, well, just estimate how many people you have to. It depends. It all depends on how much you're going to charge per book. Then you can kind of estimate from there what you kind of need, because then you can factor in shipping costs, and you can factor in. You can go to a site like Mixam. Get to a printer like Mixam allows you to do estimates on how much it's going to be per book, and all that stuff. So $10,000 is probably going to be a lot more than you're actually going to need. But I would say at the very least, begin with the art costs, which should probably be around $3,000 for a 20-page book. This estimate just to be on the safe side. Anyway,
Smilf. A single 20-something mom struggles to find a happy work-life balance. Oh boy. Don't you
never heard that one before. Smilf. These are just teeming with brilliance there. Teeming with brilliance. I have no idea why I've never heard of her before. Alex Halo, thank you for 5. Appreciate that. A niche with a dedicated fan base like a Neptunia, a low-budget eroji JRPG that takes the console war and turns into an anime, and some Yuri in it. So I think that's why manga is so interesting or so successful, is because they do that. If you notice, they do niche work. All these artists, all these creators, a lot of creators do niche work, and they have their own their own cult followings. It's this little niche. Maybe you want to. I know the one I was kind of confused by was Prince of Tennis. Why would they make an anime about tennis? Why would they make a manga about tennis? I have no idea. But I'm pretty sure there's a dedicated fan base of people who want tennis stories about tennis players. And yeah, that's a niche of a niche, but it's a dedicated fan base. It probably has a dedicated fan base. So yeah, I mean that's to come to think of it, that's what manga artists tend to do. They work in uh, niches of niches, and they stand out as unique because they do that, because it's so different. It's not just that they think differently. It's that they ask the question, uh, what genre do I want to write in? And then we break it down from there. What's the next step below? Let me narrow it down a little bit more. So sci-fi, post-apocalyptic sci-fi, post-apocalyptic vampire sci-fi. Is it or vampires, zombie, and then you move it down from there. It's going to be a drama. It's going to be an action. You move it down from there, and you as the more narrow you can go, without going too narrow, the better chance you're going to have at finding at least a starting audience. Let's see here. Console War turns into an anime with some Yuri in it. So yeah, take a hint from some of these Japanese creators, because they tend to do that. It seems now that you're bringing it up. Let's see here. Matthew J. Nimno. I don't know. The first one, Russian Doll, has a good premise. Sounds like a Shyamalan or Del Toro movies that show proof is in the pudding, though. Yeah, I mean, whenever you're dealing with time travel, it's not. This is not going to start off on a good foot. Time travel is usually a bad idea. It's usually a bad idea. Like, unless you really, really, really know what you're doing, then I mean, Doctor Who is all about time travel, and it runs into so many continuity errors. They just kind of stop caring after a while, because they focus on story and drama rather than the actual time travel stuff. Sometimes it goes on with time travel, but they stop with the they kind of stopped caring about the minutia and the what was it, the facts of time travel. Yep, we're just time traveling now. Basically, it's just they're going through time and space without really caring how time travel works, and they use it sometimes for stories, but it's not really all that. It's not as hard sci-fi as it might have once been. So, dedicating on hard time travel, that's going to be tough business. You're gonna have your work cut out for you to make it satisfying.
You want to see that mom take care of those little Jedis, maybe it'll be a nanny fostering some younglings in a dysfunctional Jedi family. Maybe sleeping with other people, a good-natured womanizer, and a serial cheater form a platonic relationship that helps reform them in ways while a mutual attraction sets in. Ooh. Maybe we get a Jedi love affair. That could be something. Let's move on to another one. How about last night? Follow.
Yeah, some of these might be good. Who knows? Some of these might be written well. Who knows? You know what? None of these have in common. None of these tell us that you can write a good Star Wars story. Okay, none of these are sci-fi adventure shows. These are all like dime store romance novels, dime store romance premises, and they're all set in like the modern day. So how are you going to get a writer who is just set on writing things in modern day New York, with modern day dramas like a womanizer and someone else and a working moms? These are basic plots. These are basic premises. Okay, these are not Star Wars premises. Okay, it's like taking it's like taking a comedy writer and pulling them into like a horror franchise. Having them write the next Grudge or something. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, she is not a sci-fi writer. She's not a adventure writer. She's not a fantasy writer. She is a modern day romance drama writer. It's very strange, very, very, very strange. In fact, so it's so like basically taking Michael Bay and trying to make him and putting him on a movie that requires subtlety, like a horror movie. If Michael Bay made a horror movie, probably wouldn't be all that horrific. It'd be too many explosions. That's the main point here, Chad. Okay, that's the main point here.
Two couples as they journey from the bar to the bedroom and are eventually put to the test in the real world. Maybe that's what we'll get. A love hookup story about maybe two aliens that meet a cantina and hook up and galaxy-sized adventures ensue. That could be a big one too. Let's go ahead and move on to another one. Assistants, a comedy about a lady who is trying to make it as an assistant to a very powerful man. Ooh, maybe we'll have an assistant to somebody sitting on the high console. You know, maybe trying to work her way up to Jedi Master rank in a man's world. Am I right? Oh, a Jedi tale for the ages. Oh, and then we got this classic hit, Bachelorette. 3 friends are asked to be bridesmaids at a wedding of a woman they use.
And none of this is going to be appealing to the male fan base, and none of this is going to be having anything to do with Star Wars. From this list of projects he's worked on, what told anybody that she would be a good fit for Star Wars? Yeah, I don't see it happening, chat. I don't see it happening. So even if she weren't neck deep into social justice and political correctness, her roster of shows that she's done, not a good sign. Not a good sign. Not a good pedigree for sci-fi adventure work. If you wanted to have a rom-com set in the Star Wars franchise, then there you go. But I don't go to Star Wars for rom-coms. Okay? I go there for a sci-fi adventure. I see a Thunder Amplifier. Thank you for the 5. Appreciate that. I'm thinking about drawing transformation furry porn. People pay a lot for it, and I gotta learn to draw body proportions too. Thank you for that information. Well, yeah, if someone hires you, if you see something a genre of art that it pays well, you see it pays well, and you need to pay your bills, and you're an artist that you think you can functionally do it, then yeah, I mean you have to do what you have to do. I mean, you're not hurting anyone. It's just you might find it creepy. You might even personally find it disgusting. But you know what? Unfortunately, it's unfortunate the way the world works. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of sewer workers might find. I think it's might too mean, but a lot of sewer workers might find their work disgusting. But they still have bills to pay. You know, you know what I mean. So you can. There's no judgments here. You have to do what you have to do. But if you see a niche of art that is in demand and you can provide it, then go for it. This is the beauty of capitalism. The beauty of capitalism. And I wish you luck. I wish you luck. See, Nexus 906, very much with 5. Appreciate that. Anime I just found called Plunder. Starts as an ecchi fantasy and the revelation. Now that's how you subvert expectations. Oh yeah. I think someone might have mentioned that before. I can remember someone saying that talking about a anime that starts off as ecchi, and then it changes. I think it was Angel Last Sword. I think Angel Last Sword mentioned something about a anime that starts off as an ecchi and turns into Batman. If I remember correctly. So I think it's called Plunder. If it's Plunder, it might be the same thing. Appreciate that. Might look into that one.
Used to ridicule back in high school. Boy, doesn't this just sound like some true Star Wars work here? This is going to be great. So I'm telling you, Kathleen Kennedy's not going anywhere. She's getting re-upped, and we're going to see a continuation of the downfall of Star Wars. I think The Mandalorian was a bone thrown to hardcore fans.
Dorothy Milk, the guy who writes Empowered and did Dirty Pair, started out as doing bondage pinups. Exactly. As you know, oddly enough, Amazon actually said, "Hey, you want to check this out?" And they pointed me to a comic book called Empowered, and Empowered I have heard of before because of his, I guess you could say, infamy. And I got the first volume of Empowered for free, and I started reading it. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's very interesting. And they said that during the, I think there's these little pages that are kind of in between chapters, and he admits that. He goes, "Did you know that this whole thing started out as the artist drawing bondage situations for certain clients, bondage situations of let's see, what was it? What are they called? Women in Peril or whatever it is. Damsels in Distress. Yeah, the artist started off with they started off getting a lot of commissions for doing damsels in distress, which basically means that women in bondage in the superhero world, I think, or something like that. That's the terminology used for a particular clientele that wanted to have a bunch of that commissioned women in bondage or women damsels in distress. That's what they wanted. And he got tired of doing all those commissions, and so he just churned all those commissions into the comic book Empowered. That's what sparked the comic book. That's what sparked the franchise. Very interesting origins. But yeah, he kept the dedication there. He never went away from the very from the sex appeal of the comic, at least not as far as I saw. But it started evolving into a story, and it became kind of interesting. Became very, very interesting because he actually apparently knows how to write human characters. So the person who started off his franchise essentially drawing smut can make an infinitely better story than these artistes like I don't know. I haven't seen Leslie Headland, so I can't say that her work is bad. But a guy who started off drawing smut essentially can apparently make a better story than a lot of these NPC SJW weirdos that I have read. Because I have read them all. I have read NPC SJW weirdo stories, and I read at least the first volume of Empowered. First volume of Empowered is narratively a lot better, infinitely better, I would say. And see, Angel the Sword. Thanks for the $1.99. The Fruit of Gracia. Okay, so two different ones, not Plunder. So you were talking about Fruit of Gracia. Okay. Interesting. I'll keep that in mind. And see, Zenith Works, thank you much for the 5. Appreciate that. The only person I would want to write Star Wars moving forward is Karen Gillan. He wrote Kieron Gillen. He wrote a excellent Vader comic, which is as good as The Mandalorian. I heard Vader comics are pretty good. That's what I've heard. I heard the Vader comics actually turn out really, really good. Let's see here. Edgar BM, that Karen face. I think she has resting Karen face. Anyways, continue.
To shut them up, and everything else is just going to be trash. Obi-Wan, I don't even know if that's going to come out. Delayed. It just keeps getting delayed. I mean, like I've said before in a video where I covered that, what was wrong with the script? Now, what we had leaked out that could have been the script actually sounded really good, but of course, Kathleen Kennedy didn't approve it, but this gets approved. This is approved. This is shot right up to the high production levels. We got to have this. I mean, this is going to be like Friends in a cantina or something. I don't even know. This is so stupid, but they keep on doing it. I don't know what's wrong with Lucasfilm. You would think that they would maybe say, "Hey, what are you doing?" I don't know. Let's just go through this a little bit here. A new Star Wars series is in the works at Disney Plus. Variety has learned from sources. The series hails from Leslie Headland, the co-creator, showrunner, and executive producer of the critically acclaimed Netflix series Russian Doll. Details of the exact plot of the series are being kept under wraps, but sources say it will be a female-centric series that takes place in a different part of the Star Wars timeline than other projects. Headland is said to be attached to write and serve as showrunner on the series.
It's people like Headland and the people who have come before that really makes people feel apprehensive when they say female-led, because it's not. Here's a new series that is going to follow this and that. It's when they say female-led, it's really, really speaking about politics. Okay, it's really letting you know that's going to be about politics, not so much about story. Star Wars fans, as far as I know, don't care about the gender of your main protagonist. They do care about good stories. Okay, they do care about the lore of Star Wars. They care about Star Wars. There are plenty of female protagonists in Star Wars that the fans love. Plenty of them. Okay. But when they say female-run series, that's not what's putting them off. What's putting them off is how these people write female characters nowadays, which is not like human beings. They don't write these weirdos don't write women like human beings. So they don't write women who struggle. They don't write women with flaws, not real flaws. They write women with flaws that they wish they had. Okay, they write women with flaws that are what they're just socially awkward maybe a little bit, or they're clumsy. They don't have real flaws. By the way, as a reminder, real flaws means that they they have a personal flaw that keeps them from getting what they want. Okay, so if they want to fall in love with somebody, if they want to attract somebody, then their flaw, or maybe the person they're going after, uh, likes people who are kind or something, and the person that has a flaw of being standoffish, being kind of selfish, or being kind of cold-hearted. That would be a flaw. That would be a narratively relevant flaw because it's going to keep them from getting what they want. They don't usually do that. They don't usually do that with these characters. And it's really unfortunate because I'm pretty sure Star Wars fans would really enjoy a well-written female character. I'm pretty sure, and they have. Ahsoka Tano is a fan favorite, and she's eventually made into a good character. Uh, she's not all that great in the movie, but in the series of Clone Wars, as far as I've seen, she was made into a good character. People liked Leia. People liked Padme. I mean, people eventually like Padme. Padme was really amazing in the Genndy Tartakovsky ones. People like a lot of female characters in Star Wars. It doesn't matter the gender. What they want characters. They don't want political caricatures. Okay, running around. They don't want Rays going around. They don't want Rey running around with just spitting in the face of established Star Wars lore. They don't want that. They want heroes who are overcoming obstacles. That's what they want. That's what they want. So it's not women that the Star Wars franchise, the Star Wars fandom hates. Okay, it's not that. It's how you write them that they hate. It's how you write them because they're women. Because in their eyes, because in your eyes, the SJW and NPC writers, in their eyes, women cannot have any flaws. They have to be better than everyone else, and it's instantly without having to work for it. And that's what has made the franchise fandom so apprehensive when you say female-led series. So we can kind of assume that you said it's female-led series that we're going to get the same old Mary Sue nonsense. It's just it is how you've gotten us to look at these things now, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because you could probably get a really nice female-run series in Star Wars because unlike an action movie or something, you can have a female Jedi be really powerful. You don't have to have them be physically powerful. In fact, that's the exact lesson the Force has been showing us that you don't need to have physical power to be powerful. I see Barry Bend in Gundam. We have characters like Sayla Mas, Emma Sheen, Sumeragi, Suma Perry, Aina Jurikanen, and many others and that's female characters I mentioned. Yeah, I remember Gundam series had a lot of female characters, well, a lot of very relevant and well-written female characters, and people like them. People like them. Angel the Sword. I fail to understand why Disney didn't utilize Jason's solo story for the sequels. There were plenty of strong, well-written female characters. What were they thinking? I have no idea. I think they would just want to spit on Star Wars. That's what I think they wanted to do. I think they just want to spit on Star Wars chat. Let's see here.
With the show currently staffing, reps for Disney and Headland did not immediately respond to Variety's request for comment. The rest of the article right here is going over stuff that she's worked on. I showed you a lot of that stuff already. You can kind of get an idea of what they want to do with this series based on it being a female-centric series and the stuff she's worked on. It's all been chick stuff.
Yeah, so it's all been stuff that women would like to watch. None of it has been sci-fi adventure. And judging by how this person thinks, how they say, I don't want a talented writer. I don't want a writer with this experience, experience in writing sci-fi adventure. Instead, she says, I want a black writer. Okay, how much you want to bet that Kathleen Kennedy went ahead and said, get me a writer who's a woman and who writes things for women. I'm pretty sure that's how she was chosen. I'm pretty sure that's how she was chosen. Let's see. Darth Milk. Empowered is a beautiful, strong female character arc. She goes from being almost helpless to being able to defeat whole super teams single-handedly over the course of 11 volumes. Yeah, she starts off with basically always getting defeated really easily by everyone. And I mean, she goes through hell. She goes through hell because she has a very low reputation. Everyone is she's a joke of the superhero community. Even her own teammates just constantly put her down. So she's basically on her own. Everywhere she looks, she's being insulted and put down, and she can't really fight back because she's basically powerless. She's not powerless, but she's easily overpowered. And then her life starts getting better, and she starts improving. If they made Rey like her, I think the whole Star Wars sequel trilogy would have been far better. Far better. I'm not even using power. Just to just to rub it in their faces how funny this could have been. In a future video, I mean. In a future video. Because I have so many videos lined up. I'm working on the Superman one right now. Well, not right now, but after the stream, I'll be working on it. And I think you'll like it, Chad. I think you'll like it. Still doing the research, but I think you'll eventually end up liking it. Let's see here. So I think we're done with the Leo Flash video for now. For now, I want to give you a choice, chat, because this is going to take us a while. We might not be able to finish. If I have 3 videos lined up, I'll give you a choice of which one we want to do. But we're probably not going to be able to finish the video. Okay, we might finish tomorrow. Might finish it tomorrow, whichever one we choose. We might finish it tomorrow. But I have another Steve Shives video where he goes over Picard and he goes over how it turned out. I have 2 Major League videos. One where he's actually he's talking about how The Rise of Skywalker was awesome, and his review of the Phantom Menace. So he reviews your behavior, chat. If you're part of the Phantom Menace, if you don't like the Star Wars sequels, he's basically reviewing your deranged behavior, or whatever he wants to call it. So more Steve Shives, where he goes over Picard, or you want to watch one of these Major League videos. They're all very, very long. They're all like 30 minutes or so. So we're probably not going to be able to finish it, but we will be able to start it and at least get a decent ways into it. So I'll give you a few seconds here, chat. I'll give you a few seconds. When you get to decide, power to the people. Power to the people. Let's see here. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're all going to be delicious. I'm pretty sure they're all going to be delicious in their own respects. So I'm just getting Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace, okay. Major League. Sounds good. Major hashtag tune in Major League. Oh no. Yeah, Major League. Oh no. Let's see here. Lee. Okay. So the one where you reviews the Phantom Menace. Okay, we can do that one. I think we'll go ahead and do that one. Like I said, Chad, we probably won't be able to finish it today, but we can at least start it. And I like how Major League has a disclaimer at the beginning of each video, so so that you can know exactly what you're getting into. And here we go. That up here. Make sure the volume is being shared. Let's see here. Okay, here we go, chat. You ready?
Warning, the following presentation contains cold, hard truths that might change the way you think. Viewer discretion won't do you any good now.
Yeah, chat. Going to Major League video, he's going to give you cold, hard truths that might change the way you think, and you can't be mad at him about that, okay? This we really be triggered by all the cold, hard truths that would lay down on us. Let's see here. Raven Darklighter, also lit dev. Delicious. Oh, yes. Very delicious. I don't know if this copy written or not. Don't want the stream to go down just yet.
Thrilled when it comes to President of Lucasfilm Kathleen Kennedy. Disney isn't too thrilled with Kathleen Kennedy and her involvement with the Star Wars franchise.
Kathleen Kennedy, her time is up. She is being fired because she is terrible at her job. It's that simple.
I mean, she is terrible at her job. She is awful at her job. But unfortunately, chat, like I mentioned earlier, they're going to keep her on forever. They're going to keep piling on awards and credits and nominations, and they're just going to keep her in charge because for one reason. And the reason is because her being in charge makes us angry. her being in charge makes the Star Wars fans angry. That's why they keep her in there, Chad. That's why they keep her in there.
Feel like she doesn't get Star Wars.
Logically, it makes sense for Lucasfilm to want to remove Kathleen Kennedy.
She is gone. It's either she's already gone or it's going to happen. There's no doubt about it.
Are you fucking kidding me? Kathleen Kennedy.
See, there's Star Wars girl. That's the one I mentioned earlier. You can tell that she has passion about Star Wars.
What the hell kind of human are you? What the hell kind of woman are you? I don't think I have ever been so disgusted by another woman in my life.
The woman has done a horrible job and she has been let go. The woman is gone. The woman is gone. In my opinion, she's gone. Bet your ass the woman is gone. It looks like the woman is gone completely.
We could very well have the successor to Kathleen Kennedy being announced as early as September.
Yeah, that's the cold hard that's a cold hard truth, chat. It's not what Major Lee says. Okay, it's the fact that if this were a just world, if they were concentrating on business and trying to get fans to go to a Star Wars movie, then yeah, they would all be correct. Kathleen Kennedy would be kicked out of Star Wars. She would be kicked out of Lucasfilm. But they're not worried about business. Not here for business. They're here for politics. They're here for agenda. So of course they're going to keep her on because they make us angry. Because they make the fandom angry. As you just saw, chat, you saw how angry these Star Wars fans are because of how horribly Kathleen Kennedy has betrayed the franchise. And the reason why Kathleen Kennedy is never going to go away is because they want these fans to go away. They want the fans to go away, not Kathleen Kennedy. Zofrats, hey LD, and chat. The sun is shining. It's awesome. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to chat, Zofrats. Welcome, welcome. I made it just in time for the video. Just in time for the video. Yeah, unfortunately, if you listen to somebody and they say Kathleen Kennedy is gone, and that they're using logic, they're using normal person logic there. Unfortunately, SJWs and NPCs don't use normal person logic because they don't use business logic. They use the logic of SJWs and NPCs, which means they want to troll people they hate, and they hate you, chat. They hate us. So they're going to keep her on because they don't think like normal people. They think like trolls. Okay, I'm going to keep that down. I think that's copyrighted music. I don't want to go down just yet. Keep her on for years and years. The thing is, they tout that, and they say, oh, look, Kathleen Kennedy is going to be staying on for years. They extended her contract. She's not going to be fired. And they use that as an excuse. They use it as an excuse, okay, to say, oh, then therefore she's doing a good job. No. There's plenty of instances in the past in every business where they keep on an employee. I'm pretty sure that most of you know that this sort of stuff exists. Where you see someone who obviously can't do the job, who obviously is not capable of doing the job, who's not willing to do the job, and therefore is doing an awful job, but no one fires them. People refuse to fire them, and they don't quit. They just stay in that position forever. But they use this idea that because Disney won't fire her, because they keep extending her contract, that she's obviously that they like her, that she's good, that she's successful, and she knows what she's doing. It's not the case. It's not necessarily the case. It's like just because The Last Jedi made a lot of money doesn't mean it's good. Because if that were the fact, then as I always say, McDonald's would be the height of fine dining because it made a lot of money. Okay? But the amount of money something makes does not mean it's good. And just because someone isn't fired from the job doesn't mean they're doing a good job. Okay, she's doing a terrible job, but they won't fire her for reasons other than normal logic. Anyways, continue. And I think
and do stuff like this.
Okay, Major Lee, stop with the copyrighted music already. How do your videos stay up? You use so much copyrighted music.
That do stuff like this. I mean, this really is disturbing.
That's actually a funny account, by the way. Ruin Johnson. He's a parody of Ryan Johnson, and just mocks Ryan Johnson at every moment because he just pretends to be what Ryan Johnson is. Ruin Johnson.
Behavior. and also dripping with irony because only a man baby would create an account like this. Now, Star Wars is an incredibly popular thing, and it has a lot of fans. So much so that
It did have a lot of fans.
has bred its own light and dark sides of fandom. The dark side of Star Wars fandom is a mental illness that's been
Toxic fans. There we go. It's how are some Star Wars fans so toxic? Toxic fans, toxic fans, toxic fans, toxic fans. The light and dark. I'm pretty sure Jet Li, Major Lee. What Major Lee is talking about is fans who are not toxic, aka fans who just love everything, blindly, and just bow down and scrape at the boot heel of Lucasfilm. And the toxic fans are the dark side, right? The dark side fans, the fans who have standards, the fans who say, "Wait a minute, this is awful. Wait a minute, this movie is poison to the Star Wars franchise that I love." That makes you toxic, chat. That makes you bad guys. That makes you bad guys. That makes you the dark side. The dark side of the Star Wars fandom are the fans who don't like the things that Disney is putting out. They're the fans who dare not say, "I love everything Star Wars pumps out. I love everything that Lucasfilm and Disney pumps out." That's what they mean by toxic, chat. Usually. We'll see what Major Lee has to say about it. But that's been usually when you see these articles, it's they're always talking about how these fans don't like one character or another, how they don't like The Last Jedi, how they don't like quote unquote women in Star Wars, they don't like minorities in Star Wars. They're always disregarding the fact that it's not about women and minorities, it's about how terribly written these stories and characters are.
Building for years, ever since around the midpoint of the George Lucas era. Some might say fan frustrations really culminated during the special editions. Others would say during the prequels. And some would say during the most recent sequel trilogy, aka the Disney era. But the fandom menace as
people didn't like the prequel trilogy because it has so many problems in it. Okay? It's not because Star Wars fans are toxic. It's because they saw problems in these new installments in the franchise that they like. And the prequel movies were not anywhere near the brilliance of the original trilogy. That's what they wanted. They wanted more original trilogy. They wanted more care and love to be going into these things. And George Lucas kind of fell into the marketing trap. He went to how are we going to market these things? How are we going to make a movie that we can market rather than how are we just going to make a good movie? And it showed. It really showed.
As it likes to be known, is simply a group of passionate Star Wars fans who are voicing their concerns about the new films, particularly The Last Jedi. So fucking underrated. They're not a disrespect.
Yeah, by the way, Major Lee really likes The Last Jedi. Even though The Last Jedi is probably one of the worst movies ever made. Let's see here. Let's go back. Let's get his sarcasm here. Let's fully embrace his sarcasm. 1 second, chat. 1 second. Get the internet gas back up and running, chat. Let's see here. Review the fandom menace. Let's continue.
Prequels, and some would say during the most recent sequel trilogy, aka the Disney era. But
yeah, because the Disney era is far worse than the prequel series ever was.
The fandom menace, as it likes to be known.
Now, see here. See the articles he's putting up. The fandom menace. How backlash to Star Wars prequel created a toxic fan culture. See, I wasn't exaggerating, chat. These articles talk about the fandom menace, which are just a bunch of passionate Star Wars fans who don't like what's going on with Disney Star Wars. They're considered toxic because they dare not like everything. They dare not bow and scrape at the feet of Lucasfilm. That makes you toxic, apparently, according to the media. And of course, Major Lee is doing a sarcasm. He's putting off a sarcasm, chat. A sarcasm. Like, oh, there's passionate Star Wars fans. Oh, look at these articles telling us that these very, very credible media articles from the very, very credible media is telling us that they're not actually passionate fans. They're actually toxic fans. I see Hatch 450 SX, which are the two. How can I Falcon punch this just a genuine lying punk? If you'd like to. Let's see here. So yeah, Major Lee. Oh, they're just passionate fans. Actually, no, they're not. all these articles say that they're not. The media hates the Phantom Menace because the media is being paid by Disney and Lucasfilm. Okay, that's where they get their money. The Phantom Menace is not paying the media.
Is simply a group of passionate Star Wars fans who are voicing their concerns about the new films, particularly.
The last one had Star Wars trolls. This one has why The Last Jedi hatred is proof of its success. Wow. Imagine going through that mental gymnastics. It failed, therefore it succeeded. Okay.
Particularly The Last Jedi. So fucking underrated. They're not a disrespectful group by any means.
Bam! The dumb Asian lady just smashes right into a spaceship. As much as I hate to say it.
Yeah, because that was funny. They out of all their speech on inclusiveness and being equal, they had the Asian lady be a horrible driver and smash into someone else. Drive into someone else. Like, what are you doing? Out of all the characters you had Rose Tico be a bad driver and pretty much condemn the resistance to death because of it.
Let the black guy die.
And they seem to be a very unbiased bunch who are not letting their...
Yeah, he said it in a funny tone, but yeah, you should have let Finn make a sacrifice because that would have been fantastic. Because Finn was ready to sacrifice himself. Finally, because the writers did something terrible to Finn. They started him off as a really intriguing character, and then just made him into comedic relief. They made him a bumbling idiot. The writers did, not the Phantom Menace, not us yet, but the writers. They made the writers made Finn into a bumbling moron for some reason. And finally, in The Last Jedi, they were going to give him a moment where he can finally redeem his character, finally do something good, finally do something of worth and meaning, sacrifice his life to save his friends and the Resistance. And they stopped him. They cut out his big moment again. So yeah. And what did we get, chat? What did we get after that? Finn never got better. There was never a moment where Finn did something awesome again. Okay, it was never a moment where he got to be the big hero. There's never a Han Solo moment of his where he's defending his other friends and getting the stormtroopers on the run, chasing a squad of stormtroopers on his own down the hallway. There's never really that. He never really got that particular specific awesome Finn moment. He never that was it. That was it. After that, he was relegated back to being comedic relief. And of course, telling us how awesome Rey is. And see, John Reddick, if Finn had sacrificed himself, he would have been a hero. Did not get this? Yeah, he would have been a hero. That would have been something actually meaningful that came from The Last Jedi, where Finn sacrificed himself for his friends and saved the Resistance. But no, they couldn't let him do that. And after that, they condemned his character right back to the status of comedic relief. Very, very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. Let's see here. Zofrats, Finn got to yell Rey a lot. He sure did. That's basically what his role was, to yell Rey a lot and to look concerned and to be in awe of Rey's power and her awesomeness. Let's see here.
Their Star Wars devotion or obvious political stance totally shaped their judgment.
She has infected Lucasfilm with so much identity politics and so much SJW.
How was that bias? How was that bias from their point of view? She did. They said this. It's not conjecture. They said this. The forced female shirts, all this stuff. They said that they want a more inclusive audience, all that stuff. They want to be more inclusive. They came out with the First Order as a white supremacist movement somehow, even though that's not really how they portray them. They came out and said this. Kathleen Kennedy, all the way down to the writers. Okay, they said this. They downright said this, that they're putting in politics and identity politics and all this stuff, all this SJW nonsense in there. So no, it's not because of Geeks and Gamers bias. It's because they told us this.
Nonsense.
See, that's just a regular, non-political point of view.
The other points I really have to say are the agendas that are thrown into the movies.
Well, agendas can mean anything.
Agendas they told us about, majorly. Agendas they told us about. that the creators of Star Wars told us that they were going to put in there. Those agendas, yeah, we're not making that up. You can't make up something they told us that was going to be in there and is actually in there.
Thing. I mean, there's no proof that these people have a conservative or even alt-right bias. Soy boy,
Alt-right, everyone is alt-right now. Everyone, you don't like Star Wars, you're alt-right.
the soy is strong with you, cuck.
But they are soy boys. It's not our fault, majorly. It's not our fault. I like how we can. You're justified in calling people alt-right, but we're not justified in calling people soy boys. Everyone is alt-right to you, but when we call someone soy boys, so for some reason that's not acceptable anymore. Even though this is funny, no one's going to fire you for being called a soy boy. Like, I hear you were called a soy boy on the internet. I'm not going to hire you now. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Okay, if you get called alt-right, you could lose your job. There's a difference there. Okay, if I call someone soy boy, nothing really bad is going to happen to them. You call someone alt-right, they might lose their job. They might endure all kinds of ostracization from their family and friends. Okay, big difference. DJM Voices, thank you much for the 10. Appreciate that. This is why, much as I love him, Plinkett kind of ruined Star Wars criticism. Star Wars fans, Star Trek fans just accept the PT as bottom of the barrel. Or ST fans just accept the PT as bottom of the prequel trilogy. No, yeah. Sequel trilogy fans just accept the prequel trilogy as bottom of the barrel, but can't see how the sequel trilogy problems are much worse. Yeah, they still hate the prequel trilogy. They just think the sequel trilogy is better, even though the sequel trilogy is, as Mueller would put it, objectively worse. Objectively worse. It's objectively bad. Let's see, Hatch 450SX. It's finally almost time. Kung Lee's Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb 2 mailing list on Indiegogo. Oh, I didn't even know Knuckle Bomb 1 came out yet. But Kyung Lee, by the way, is he was one of the people who worked on the Case of the Littlest Umbrella with that umbrella guy. Because he wasn't one of the people who know Peter Gilmore. People know that umbrella guy, but I don't think a lot of the same people know that Kyung Lee also worked on it. An artist known as Kyung Lee worked on it.
Cuck.
Point me to one business that has ever pandered to SJWs that succeeded. Point me to one. Point me to one movie that has ever.
No, let's go back. Let's go back, Major Lee. Let's go back and we can see how wrong you are. Let's laugh in your face. Hold on, chat. This would be pretty funny. Let's check this out. So let's see one business here. One business says cater to SJWs.
Cuck.
And succeeded because they catered to it. Let's check it out.
Point me to one business that has ever pandered to SJWs that succeeded.
Let's see here. How did Samuel Adams pander to them? Disney pandered to SJWs. You know where Disney is right now? They are in peril of being bought out. They are losing millions of dollars a day, and they're being in peril of being bought out. They ruined the Star Wars franchise. Star Wars franchise, as we saw a few episodes ago, Star Wars sequel toys. No one's buying them. There's no demand for them. Solo failed after The Last Jedi because The Last Jedi really appealed to the SJWs, and Star Wars has never been lucrative ever since. Star Wars was still lucrative after the prequels. That should probably tell you something. After The Last Jedi, Star Wars became far less lucrative. Gillette went down in stock big time after they pandered to SJWs. Every single time they pander to SJWs, they start to fail. Okay? They start to fail big time. So yeah, these are successful companies before they started pandering to SJWs, but afterwards, as we saw with Kickstarter, once you start pandering to SJWs, your trajectory goes downhill. It just goes right downhill.
Point me to one movie that has ever pandered to SJWs and succeeded. You can't.
Zootopia did not pander to SJWs. It was really more of an anti-SJW movie, you could say. Last Jedi did not succeed. The Black Panther was not an SJW movie. It was a conservative movie, believe it or not. It was a right-wing movie. They would say that because it was it was more right-wing than left-wing, I would say. Captain Marvel only succeeded because of the dirty trick they pulled. Lego 2 movie was not pandering to SJWs. Mad Max was not pandering to SJWs. Last Jedi was, and it failed. It made a lot of money, still failed, because it destroyed. It may have made a lot of money, but it killed the goose that laid the golden egg with it. Okay, they killed the goose, got the last few eggs out of the body, and they left the corpse aside. It's no longer making any more golden eggs. Inside Out, I don't think it penetrated anything about SJWs. Aliens, that's not SJW at all. You're being really disingenuous here, Major Lee. Black Panther they're really xenophobic in that one. They really were closed off from the rest of the world. They were not inclusive. They're not diverse. They upheld military might. This is more conservative than what you might think of as SJWs. Captain Marvel succeeded because it was sandwiched in between two major Marvel releases, and may have not done nearly as well had it released on its own. In fact, they had to pair her with Nick Fury, and now they might have to go ahead and pair her with Spider-Man. These are not. I think you found movies to fill up the screen, and not movies that actually pander to SJWs. Most of these movies don't. Zootopia is more. I consider that more of an anti-SJW movie because guess what? Judy Hopps is not the first woman. She's the first. I guess what you call prey animals to join the police force, because usually you have bigger animals be the police force, and not little animals. But guess what Judy Hopps did? Judy Hopps did not pander to SJWs because SJWs want things for free. Judy Hopps worked really hard. She's basically conservative. She's basically what they would see as conservative because she worked really hard. She really upheld the idea of self-improvement, self-responsibility, and exceeding expectations instead of subverting them. And so she was not really about big government and all that stuff. She was not really about inclusiveness. She was about, usually SJWs, it's about I'm being discriminated against. They did not discriminate against Judy Hopps. They just said, you're probably going to have a bad time. But she pushed through it. There's no discrimination. In fact, the discrimination was from Judy Hopps. She was, I guess you could say, racist against predators. And the predators are being suppressed and oppressed in the society, and they're being racist against, essentially. But they're not being treated like SJWs usually treat them. Zootopia was good because they were inspired by social issues and not telling us social issues. They made a story around social issues like Stan Lee would have. They made a story around it, but they weren't telling us politics. They weren't telling us we're right and wrong. In fact, the hero. Remember my can a racist character be a heroic? The answer is yes. And you know this because Judy Hopps is heroic and she's racist. I didn't know that at the time when I made that video, but that turns out to be the case. Can a racist hero be a heroic? Absolutely, because Judy Hopps is heroic. She works hard. She's dedicated. She overcomes obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. She overcomes what everyone tells her is impossible. She's ready to put her life on the line for other people. She's ready to be dedicated to protection and the well-being of Zootopia. She's a hero, and she's racist. Mad Max, I have no idea why they think that was pandering to SJWs. Why? Because they had a female character who was tough? That's not SJW. Okay? She and Mad Max fought. Mad Max beat her. Okay? They were written like people, not like propaganda. Wow, Major Lee's really full of himself. He thinks that. The Force Awakens did okay. The Force Awakens did not pander to the SJWs. The Last Jedi did. The Force Awakens, the crime of The Force Awakens was that it was just unoriginal. That introduced us to a Mary Sue Ray, but the biggest crime of all was that it just didn't bring us anything new. It was a hollowed out, soulless version of A New Hope. See, Alex Haley, thank you very much for 5. Fate Star Wars parody was better, female Jedi and Sith, and look better. Both are female King Arthur. Yeah, I remember that. I remember. I think it was what she called Saber or something like that. I remember that there's a female King Arthur in that series. Criminal Imagination, very much for the 5. Appreciate that. There's a lot of people who thought TLJ was going to be terrible before going into it. Oh yeah, I thought it was going to be because for The Force Awakens, it was not. It didn't blow me away. It was not the type of movie I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be coming from Disney, a story that was going to be well crafted and well written. It wasn't. It was a blatant ripoff of A New Hope, with but like a poor man's New Hope, pretty much a poor man's New Hope, which is kind of strange considering they had a much bigger budget, I think. But narratively speaking, it was the poor man's New Hope. Let's see here. Calogen Veotier. This list just proves how superficial SJWs are. Yeah. Black Klansman was an actual occurrence, I think, that happened in real life. If I remember correctly. Wonder Woman doesn't appeal to SJWs at all. It's not pandering to them. And in fact, they hated it because she was not hairy enough and not fat enough for something. It was just a movie. It was just a movie. Why do you think it's pandering to SJWs? Because it had a woman in it? There are plenty of, I guess so, because you have aliens up here. Okay, just because it's as a woman as a main character does not mean that it appeals to SJWs. It's pandering to them. Okay, Jeremy from Geeks Gamers has said, show me one movie that pandered to SJWs that succeeded. A lot of these don't pander to SJWs, and the ones that did, like The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, they made a lot of money, but they weren't all that successful. Captain Marvel made a lot of money, and the grand scheme of things, not that successful. I've seen Lego Movie 2. I didn't really pander to SJWs. It was another Lego movie. That was about it. It was just another Lego movie. What's Inside Out about? It's because it's concerning emotions. Are you really going that far? The Arthur, thank you for the 5. Appreciate that. My brother's friend's George just told me the basic plot of The Rise of Skywalker. I was immediately disappointed. Yeah. How did he describe to you the plot? And because it doesn't have one really. It's just like a bunch of events strung together somehow. I still don't really understand the actual plot other than the McMuffin going around. Somehow it's like Darth Sidious, Emperor Palpatine wanted to do something. He wanted to bring back the Empire by destroying it. I don't know. It's really strange stuff. See, Intel Team Racing, much of the 10. Appreciate that. Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Mad Max, and Wonder Woman did well because they were already installments in a big franchise. Avatar and Aliens were before this movement. This whole list is just dumb. It is. I agree with you. It's just dumb. He's just majorly is just trying to sound smart, but notice how he doesn't explain anything about these movies. He's like, okay, here's a bunch of them that apparently pandered to SJWs. No, they didn't. The ones that did that are on this list, I mean, The Last Jedi did pander to SJWs, and it killed Star Wars by doing so. Okay, The Force Awakens, not so much. Last Jedi, yes. But The Force Awakens didn't kill Star Wars. It was like a little worse than the prequels. Not that bad, though. Not as bad. Last Jedi killed Star Wars. Captain Marvel, no one likes Captain Marvel. Even normies I've heard talk about it, who don't care about all this politics stuff, they say Captain Marvel was boring. Very, very boring. Because she's too powerful. She's too overpowered. And see Alex Halo, just with the 2. Appreciate that. Titanic Tuna profile pic is the female author, LD. Okay. Female Arthur. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, after we finished Doki Doki Literature Club, I was thinking about doing Fate Stay Night. Of course, I have to get I've been warned to get that it has some, we'll say, interesting scenes in there that I should probably get a different version to exclude. So I won't get that. So I can get the safe for work version, which I probably should for YouTube. Anyway.
Because it does not exist. Pander to the people that sit in a tent in a movie theater overnight just to talk about their favorite Star Wars stories and characters.
Yes, as I keep saying, chat. As I keep saying, those are the people you have to pander to. People who are dedicated. These are fans. See what I mean, chat? People who stay in tents overnight to see a good Star Wars movie. These are fans. People who are passionate about the project. These are fans. Now, you might not be your level fan might vary. And you might not always be in the best spirits. Like, for example, a true fan would come out and say, this is bad, this is terrible, this is hurting the franchise. And it's not really so much someone who dislikes everything because it has the Star Wars label on it. But here's the thing, chat.
Course correction to appeal to big dumb fanboys.
You got to make that course correction to appeal to us big dumb fanboys. Okay, you have to make that course correction because if you don't, you're not getting any fans. You're not appealing to the fans.
Pander to those people. Do not pander to social justice.
Yeah, because social justice warriors and NPCs, they're only passionate about politics. Only passionate about, well, identity politics. They're passionate about ruining your franchise with their identity politics. They don't care about the franchise itself. That's where the passion lies. The passion does not lie with Star Wars. It lies with identity politics.
Oh, so you'd rather have storylines that only the hardcore fans can relate to, and not large.
No. So hardcore fans could not relate to Solo because it was awful. That was not Han Solo. That was I think what they call him Han Solo. Yeah, it was Soilo. It was a watered down, more acceptable, pandering to SJW, more SJW friendly version of Han Solo. He was not aggressive. He was not the bad boy he was supposed to be. He was outshined by every woman in that movie. He wasn't able to be the Indiana Jones type he wanted him to be. So yeah, this film failed. But you didn't mention this one, did you, Major Lee? It panned to SJWs, and it failed. But you didn't mention this one. And notice you didn't mention this one.
Larger groups of people. I believe the
Major Lee likes Solo too.
Definition of that is fan service.
Do not pander to social justice.
Fan service is one thing. Appealing to fans is another thing. You can appeal to fans, and then fan service is like gravy on top of it. So when we appeal to fans, we mean stay true to the franchise, stay true to the established lore, have heroes written as people, have heroes written as heroes for one thing, and have heroes and characters written as actual characters and not political caricatures. Okay, have them struggle, have them suffer, have them overcome obstacles, and have them win at the end. Have them star. Have them be the star of the show. Okay, and then you can add on this fan service. Okay, there's a difference. Just because pandering to staying true to the fan base does not necessarily mean fan service. Staying true to the fan base, what that means is staying true to the franchise, giving us what we come to love about Star Wars. Okay, staying true to the things, how things go. Don't just give us blatant carbon copies of A New Hope. Don't give us just a main character who has no personality and doesn't have to work for things. Okay, give us people who struggle. Give us heroes who struggle. Give us a reasonable bad guy. Give us good character. Give us depth. Give us a compelling narrative. Give us twists and turns. And then give us fan service. Okay?
Justice warriors.
How do the new Star Wars movies pander to social justice again? Oh yeah, it's the strong female hero. The other strong.
No. Major Lee is full of himself. I like how Major Lee is the premiere of what I'm talking about, of these Last Jedi defenders, how their voices just drips with arrogance, and how they say, "I know better than you. I'm better than you, and here is my video proving it." Mm-hmm. Yeah, Major Lee really gives that off really, really well. Really, really well. No, it's not the strong female protagonist. Okay, it's the fact that she doesn't have to struggle for anything. It's the fact that for years, for decades, Star Wars has given us the hero's journey, a hero that struggles, a hero that overcomes things. It's the needed training to work to be able to use Force powers. Okay, Rey has no training. She doesn't have to struggle for anything. She's already just awesome. It's not because she's a strong female character. That's what they always go to. That's their go-to. But it's not that. They refuse to dig deeper. They could dig deeper to defend The Last Jedi. They're willing to do that. They're willing to say that someone's eyebrow moving a certain way means 10,000 different things. But they're refusing to dig deeper when we have criticism of a character. They just look at the shallowness of the character. Say, oh, she's a woman. They don't like this character. All the characters are women. Therefore, they hate women. They refuse to dig deeper. They do. They really do.
Strong female hero, the strong black hero, the Latino hero, the pink-haired woman who teaches the Latino a lesson, the Asian woman who teaches the black hero a lesson, the old...
Hold on, General Lee. Hold on, Major Lee. Hold on. you're okay. You are okay with this privileged white woman teaching the lowly Hispanic worker a lesson. She being better than him. You're okay with that? Not a good as that's SJW NPC people like to say. Not a good look. Not a good look. You want that you really enjoy the privileged white woman talking down to the Hispanic worker. Not a good look.
Hillary Clinton lady who teaches the Latino a lesson, the multiple anti-slavery messages, the straight-up SJW robot, the robot fucking. What?
Yeah, that was gross. That was the most annoying character in all of Star Wars. I would watch Jar Jar Binks 10 times over before I watched that droid again. They had to fix a droid's problem by the time when Rogue One came out. You had a good droid there, and a very interesting droid there. Solo, not so much.
Whatever interracial relationship this is. But come on, guys. What did you think the Star War was even about? Humans and aliens and different species coming together to fight a fascist regime. You can't spell SJW without SW.
Well, that was lame. Come on, Major League. You're better than that. I would hope. And what you can't like to say you can't spell laughter without slaughter. You can't spell slaughter without laughter. We can use that trick too. Use that trick too. Okay.
Not to mention, all of this stuff is just not shitty. Hey, it's better than the Mexican Jewish.
Is that your defense, Major League? And all of this stuff is not horrible. Oh, thank you very much for your input there. Thank you very much for that. Very, very useful. And guess what, guys? You're all dumb because guess what? At the end of the day, all this stuff is not terrible. Okay. Thank you.
Stereotype hybrid, or the Black Caribbean stereotype, or the Asian stereotype.
He likes the sequels, so obviously he has to dump on the prequels. Like, oh look, all these were terrible. All these were terrible, and the sequels are obviously infinitely better. No, the prequels are better than the sequels, by a lot, by a lot. You see, Robert Roberts. Ray has the postmodern magic big vagina, big vagina. Women are as good as men. Ray is woman, therefore Ray is good at sword fighting as Luke, as good a pilot as Han, and as powerful as the Emperor. It gets even worse than that. They have Poe being like Poe being a pilot is his only thing, and they say that she's a better pilot than Poe. She's a better soldier, a better fighter than Finn, who's been a soldier his entire life. She is better than everyone at everything they do, with no drawbacks, with nothing else. And her whole arc is on how powerful she is, because she has no personality. It's always fascist with these people. Let's see here. Reverend Darklighter, oh my gosh, they're fascist because stormtroopers are wearing white. Yes, that's why they're fascist. They're always fascist.
Stereotype. God damn, this movie was racist. But the sequel trilogy is also.
Now, I'd like to point one thing about the prequels versus the sequels. The sequels just made the Empire again. That's it. Notice how at the very least, the prequels made a whole different dynamic. Okay? Because the bad guys in the prequels were not fascists, not Nazis in space. The bad guys in the prequels were just people trying to secede from the Republic because they've become disillusioned with how the Republic was running. Basically, it was the Confederacy versus the Union. Okay? It was civil war. It wasn't the bad guys versus good guys. It so happened that the bad guys all sided with one side. They were not all technically bad guys. They're not like a fascist regime. They're basically a bunch of people who just seceded from the Republic. That's all they did. Which is why even in the movies themselves, if you notice the opening title crawl, I think it was in the Revenge of the Sith. I think it was. Where there were heroes on both sides. Where atrocities were being committed by both sides, where heroics are being committed by both sides. So at the very the sequels, all they did was copy and paste the Empire versus Rebellion again. The prequels, you could say, and to their credit, didn't just copy and paste. Yeah, there was another war, but it wasn't just Rebellion versus Fascists again. It was Republic versus the secessionists, the people who seceded, the separatists. It was a whole different dynamic, with a whole different repercussions and whole different ideas of how things were going. Yeah, the separatists were seen as technically the bad guys, and the Sith sided with the separatists. But not everyone on the separatist side were bad guys, and we see that in the movie. So we don't have to go to secondary, tertiary sources to get that information. It was seen and alluded to in the movies that they were not all terrible people. Mark in 3D, thank you very much for the 400 huffs. Any why Disney Star Wars good? Oh, we'll never know. Here's what. Yeah, there's nothing really good about the Disney Star Wars, except showing us how awesome the prequels were in comparison. Let's see here. Rocket and St. Luke's for the 099 heavily implies only SJWs think slavery is evil. Yeah, as your boy Zach said, everyone hates Nazis, but one of the major differences between a normal person and an SJW is that an SJW will say they hate Nazis and expect a reward for it. So normal people will say, I hate Nazis. An SJW will say, I hate Nazis, therefore give me a reward and pay me. Let's see. Arminus Chieftain of the Tershai. My point being that the world being the character development in the prequels was sometimes, albeit rarely, great. The sequels never gleam, even rarely, in the same way. And there's some really legitimately good things in the prequel series. Not really much in the sequels. Not very much in the sequels. And the prequels had far more imagination than the sequels ever showed us.
Also the first time we've seen members of the Imperial Army who aren't white males. At least there's diversity on both.
Diversity in villains. Okay, fine. Even after they said that someone from Star Wars said that it was supposed to be a white supremacist group for some reason. And see, DJM voices, just because your alien race's accent sounds like a real world accent doesn't make it automatically racist. They have to act like it too. Yeah. I mean, where else are you going to draw inspiration from? Okay, you're drawing inspiration from what you know, and you know different Earth cultures. And it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a strange thing to base your alien races off of various cultures on Earth. I mean, the Klingons from Star Trek became kind of space Vikings, and if you didn't know, Vikings were Nordic people. They're white. They're white. Is that racist? I don't think they would call it racist because they modeled it after a white culture. But you start modeling aliens off of a non-white culture, suddenly it becomes racist. I see Daniel Lindsay, and in the SWCW show, it was the cis being lied to by the Sith. Yeah, exactly. It was their side would just have to be manipulated by the Sith. Both sides were being manipulated, but the separatist leaders are being manipulated by the Sith, so that they can use them as a powerhouse to fight the Jedi.
Sides.
On many sides. On many sides.
We need to get her political ideology and propaganda out of Star Wars. Make Star Wars great again.
That's exactly right. Get that political nonsense out of Star Wars. Get it back to good stories, good characterization.
Oy. Now, as for Kathleen Kennedy, the big bad boogie quote of hers that people just can't get over is this one from 2016, where she said,
I have a responsibility to the company that I work with. I don't feel that I have a responsibility to cater in some way. I would never just seize on saying, well...
where have you heard this before, chat? Remember Ron Mars' quote? If you don't know more Ron Mars, he said something along the lines of, he's a writer for comics. He was a writer for Marvel, I think. And people said, and he's a writer, therefore he's putting in the politics and everything. So he said that Ron Mars said that my client is not the customer. My client is the publisher. I enter the publisher and not the customer. Same energy, chat. Same energy. Kathleen Kennedy says, my duties to the company, not to the fan, essentially. That's essentially what she said. No, Kathleen Kennedy, if your duty is to the company, then your duty is to the fan, because the fans are the company. Okay? The fans are the company. Without the fans, there would be no Lucasfilm. Okay? You lose the fans, you lose Lucasfilm. So sorry, Major Lee. So sorry, Kathleen Kennedy. But the Phantom Menace is right yet again.
This is a franchise that's appealed primarily to men for many, many years, and therefore I owe men something.
And what's wrong with that? It seems like they're demonizing that fact. What's wrong with a franchise that appeals to men, and mainly men? Okay, why can't men? Why can't that be fine? Why can't you just continue appealing mainly to men with Star Wars? Why does Star Wars have to pander to everyone? Is it because it's popular? I don't think so. If it's popular, it's because the fans made it popular. And guess what? It's not only men. It might be mainly men. But it's not only men. But in that essence, yeah, mainly men. It was mainly men who made it popular. And you're going to chase away all the men? Doesn't sound like a very good idea. And as I said before, many times before, that women who like Star Wars the way it was. They like Star Wars the way it was. And if you're going to chase away the men, you're going to be chasing away all the women too that already like Star Wars. I see the author. Thank you much for the 499. Appreciate that. The prequel trilogy is like Eminem's rival album. There are certainly flaws, but it certainly has multiple merits. Exactly. And the prequel trilogy has quite a few merits. In fact, it was just kind of poorly handled, but it had a lot of imagination. The sequel trilogy, not so much. They are severely lacking in imagination with the sequel trilogy. Severely.
And people have really taken this out of context and spun it way out of control. She was answering a question about whether the negative attention Rogue One and Force Awakens received because of its female leads was going to affect her decisions in the future. And she basically just said, no, I'm not going to do anything different because some angry men have been complaining. That doesn't mean she's going to cater to men or women. It just means she's focusing on simply making the films. That's what you should want to hear from a question like that. But everyone exaggerated the crap out of this quote, from Movie Web to Screen Rant to...
Now, what I wanted to hear from her is that I am dedicated to the fans. I am grateful and dedicated to making the fans of Star Wars that have been with us for decades happy and delivering a satisfactory product. I'm currently in works to produce movies to the best of my ability that will make the fans that have been with us for decades, both new and old fans, happy, both new and old. That's what I wanted to hear from Kathleen Kennedy. That's what I wanted to hear. Dedicated to story and character, being a whole new story Star Wars franchise that will appeal to both new fans and old. But that's not what she said. She said she basically just brushed you off. She basically just brushed you off, chat. That my dedication is not to you, you plebeian fans. My dedication is to the company. That's what she says. That's what she says. Pretty much the words of Kathleen Kennedy right there. Not a very good sign. Not a very good sign of things to come.
Hello Giggles. Ugh, God. And now you get reactions like this.
All they care about is social justice and man hate and white man hate. That's all they care about.
You know, if you really don't like things that demonize white men, I recommend that you never watch these films.
Fire, Kath.
Really, majorly? The original trilogy did not demonize white men. Okay, demonizing white men demonizing something. Demonizing X means saying that often touting how it's bad. So demonizing white men would be an instance in the movies where they say, "Look at these white men. They're all terrible. These white men are terrible. These white men are evil." No, Major Lee. It's like Steve Shives. You fail to understand how this stuff works. The original trilogy is not demonizing white men. The original trilogy is demonizing imperialistic fascism. Okay? It's demonizing an idea. It's demonizing an ideology. It's demonizing what should be demonized. Tyranny. That's what's demonizing. It just happen to have white men in the as the soldiers of it. Now, when we say when I'm pretty sure Geeks and Gamers is saying here when he's referring to demonizing white men, it's not making white men bad guys. It's making bad guys. It's making white men. It's what's actually doing is portraying white men as bad guys because they're white men, not white men as bad guys because they're tyrants, or a white man is a bad guy because they believe in a tyrannical or a fascist ideology like they do in the Empire. But they're bad guys. They're white men, therefore the bad guys. It's always an instance of white men, therefore the bad guys. Oh, that guy's white? Oh, look, he's a bad guy. That guy's white? Oh, look, he's a bad guy. That's what they mean. that they're in the movie. If there's a white man in there, they're going to be considered either dumb or hostile or outright bad guys because they're white. That's what they mean, but because they're white men. That's what they mean by demonizing white men. It's the original Star Wars, again, not demonizing white men, they're demonizing fascism and tyranny. Big difference there, Major Lee. You and Steve Shives, you need a class on how this stuff works because you obviously don't understand how it does. Let's see, Nathan Brake, thank you much for the fight. Appreciate that. Hey, Lit, I'll be going to Japan to study abroad. So to prepare, I decided to make a harem. So far, I have 4 girls. Well, that's one way to prepare, I suppose. That's one way to prepare. Watch out! I hear some of those girls in the harem anime can be pretty crazy, pretty crazy.
Kathleen Kennedy. Fire her 3 months ago. The sooner you get this disease out of Lucasfilm.
She's a disease? Looks like...
Yes. Oh, is he going to do the... is he going to make one of these? Well, look at all the stuff she's done. I bet you he is. She's been on plenty of works, therefore she's good. Is that what you're going to do, Major Lee? Is that what you're really going to say to us?
She was involved in a few successful movies. I don't know.
She's involved in a few successful movies. And what do you mean by success? How the people that they're actually likable, or that they made a lot of money? Because there are plenty of movies out there that are very, very good movies that didn't make a lot of money. So, and just because they made a lot of money doesn't mean they're good movies. Is that what you mean, Major Lee? Is that what you mean? And just because she was involved doesn't mean she was the one who was running it. So was she running the Lucasfilm at the time they were made? I don't think so. At least I don't think in all of them. We've seen what happens when she runs things. And these usually run into the ground. Just because you're involved doesn't mean you are the reason why it succeeded. That's the Insult to Human Race, which are the 5. From Callaghan Vautier. They see a bad guy as a certain race and immediately think that they're demonizing the race and claim not to be racist. Yeah, because they don't see what's actually going on. They see race and gender first. That's all they see. They see race and gender. They don't see ideas being produced. They don't see what's actually being said. If someone's a bad guy and they happen to be white men, oh, they're demonizing white men. You like this? No, they like this. They like the original trilogy, not because it was demonizing people, because it was demonizing tyranny. It was demonizing fascism. It was demonizing. It was making them evil. They were evil guys in space. They're not evil because they're white men. They're evil because they were championing a tyrannical government. But that's all they see. They see race and gender, and therefore, if it's a bad guy, they think, "Oh, look, this guy was white. Therefore, it was demonizing white men." They can't tell the difference between a white guy who happens to be evil or a bad guy and a white man who is evil because he's white. A white man being portrayed as evil because he's white, and daring not to have the audacity, having the audacity to not feel bad because he's white. That's the difference there. But I don't see how. But for some reason, Steve Shives, Major Lee, don't seem to get it. Don't seem to understand it at all.
Business perspective, there's so much hate for her. It just makes sense for a changing of the guard. It's not a personal thing. It's a business thing.
It's a business thing. You know, we're talking about someone who's considered the most prolific female producer in Hollywood. Nearly 80 films that have collectively raked in over.
Yes, it's a business thing because under her watch, Star Wars has become a franchise that is now losing money. You think it would be, with all the resources of Disney, it'd be gaining money. But it's been coasting on the goodwill of the fans that they actively hate. The goodwill of the previous works, the goodwill of the Star Wars name. That's what they've been coasting on. And the hard work of other people.
$11 billion and received over 100 Academy Award nominations. What fucking...
She received over 100 nominations. How many wins? I didn't see you mention how many wins there. You think you would go wins and nominations, put them together? Over 100 nominations and 100 wins, or 25 wins. Let's see. How many did she win? How many did she win?
Female producer in Hollywood. Nearly 80 films that have collectively raked in over $11 billion and received over 100 Academy Awards.
There we go. He He didn't mention the wins. He didn't mention the wins, did he? She garnered 120 Academy Award nominations and accumulated 25 wins. That's it. She was nominated 120 times, won 25. And usually, you know how these Hollywood things go. It's usually patting themselves on the back. They're usually meaningless. That's why Leonardo DiCaprio, despite being a pretty good actor and participating in quite a few excellent and, as Major Lee would put it, successful movies, being an excellent actor, that he didn't win something until recently. He spent his whole life acting, didn't really win an award until recently because it's a club. It's a who's who. It's not about how good you do. It's about who you know and how much they like you. And Kathleen Kennedy is a good person to give rewards to because of the politics. The same reason why Star Wars has become corrupt.
Nominations. What fucking business perspective are you looking at this from?
It's a business thing. It's like if you have a coach that has a losing season, the coach gets the axe.
Where is the losing season?
Solo. This is after Solo. So the losing season is that we had a successful Force Awakens. You were timid, like, oh, that's okay. Maybe they're just getting their feet wet, okay? And then The Last Jedi came about, and everyone wanted to go see it because, oh, look, it's going to be really cool. We get to see Luke Skywalker. They were basically coasting off of old properties, coasting off of old Star Wars. That's why it was so successful. But the movie itself was so terrible, they decided to it's kill Star Wars. Okay, after that, Solo failed. They started canceling projects left and right. They had experienced one failure after the next, and they had to pump out The Rise of Skywalker, which is essentially just a cleanup crew for The Last Jedi. So, I mean, every argument here is either incomplete or just completely disingenuous. Major Lee. Oh, unfortunately, Chad, I warned you that I wasn't able to finish this because it's too long. Maybe we'll finish it today. Maybe we'll finish it tomorrow. Maybe we'll finish it tomorrow or Monday. I will see. But unfortunately, I'm out of time for today. We're reaching the 3-hour mark already. But I'm gonna have to cut off the stream here. But I'll remember where we are. Don't worry, Chad. Don't worry. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut off the stream here. Thank you everyone for joining me. Appreciate it. Before we go, however, it looks like this is amazing. I had no idea. This is fantastic. I'm just kind of I have no other words but the word surprised as to how much support Dr. Alpha has gotten recently. And I thank you very much for it. I really do appreciate it. But Dr. Alpha has officially crossed 39,000. We're at now 39,050, which means again, we'll be heading back to Doki Literature Club sometime soon. But thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me. I hope you had fun. I hope it was interesting. I hope you had a good time. Let's see, Alex, hello, thank you very much for 5. Appreciate that. Index has some Christians and scientists as bad guys in it. Doesn't mean they are evil. Also has some that there are good guys. See, you can have people that have certain traits. Doesn't mean that they're making those traits bad guys. Doesn't mean that they're saying that all Christians are evil or all scientists are evil. It's saying that some of these people might be. But yeah, it looks like see Zofrats. Congrats on 39K. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And thank you everyone for backing it. I really do appreciate it. It's fantastic. And it's a win for all of us, chat. It's a win for all of us. I'm very excited to be working on it. Very excited to eventually get this out. Working hard on it every day. And like I said, I just got the mailers. A lot of mailers. Almost 70 pounds worth of cardboard. I just ordered. I got the good stuff. I got the Gemini mailers. But thank you everyone for joining me. I hope you had a wonderful time, or at least an adequate time. Hope it brightened your day at least a little bit. Had some nice fun, kicking it back and laughing at woke nonsense. Well, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be going over deadbeats. And until then, I hope you stay safe. Have as much fun as you can. Make the best of it as you can during this tremendously terrible time. And until then, I will see you all next time.